Hello. Yes, Bruno was amazing clickbait. You know what it is? I set these up and it makes you do a thumbnail, and I never have anything interesting to do a thumbnail with. So how you guys doing? What is new? What is exciting? Ooh, I am mucking about with my fabric today. My swearing fabric, deciding what I want to do with it all. Sorting it all out, and I thought I'd come on live and just chat while I'm doing it, because I definitely have enough for a quilt, definitely, but I've obviously got lots for little projects too, and I'm just trying to sort out and decide what I want in a bigger project, what I want in smaller projects. I thought I'd come on and chat with you guys while I'm doing it. Oh, that I can just turn in. That's easy. That I can just turn into a. Wait a second. That I can just turn into a gift bag. That's going to be easy enough. Maybe I'll do that while I'm thinking. Maybe I'll do that while I'm thinking about what I want to do with everything else. That one's cool. That's its own pile. First, I have to sort. First, I have to sort and decide what is available. This one here, I'm super excited about. But watching you as I'm working. Yay! Working as I'm not watching the chat. That's what I'm doing. Had a couple of good ideas. Mug rug. I thought of a placemat, pillow. Definitely, I definitely have enough for a couple of pillows. That's that one. Yeah. Anyway, trying to sort out what I want. I've got a couple. I've got most of this. Most of this is fine. That's this one here I really like, but it's got a slightly different texture, and I think I'm going to have to wash it first before I decide what I'm doing with it. These ones here, and then I have to turn the. Whoops, wrong camera. Let me flip around my cameras. Let me flip my cameras around. Is that going to work? There we go. First thing you have to do when you're going to do a project, you have to decide what fabric does and doesn't match. So this is I can probably incorporate it into a quilt pile, because everything, when you're doing it, you want to be able to, once I decide how big I want my squares to be, and I think I'm just going to do 9-inch squares. I think I'm going to keep it simple, right? But once I decide how big I want my squares to be, this is a 9-inch square. This is a 9-inch square with this is already a 9-inch square with a built-in 1/4-inch seam allowance all the way on. Hi, Nanny B. Wait one more day. Oh, I need to wait one more day before I start doing. Oh, okay. Well, there's a hint. And I love you too. Nanny B is the one who sent me all this lovely fabric. What I'm sorting out right now, Nanny, I'm not going too crazy here. I just got my shit. I'm not going too crazy here today. I'm just sorting stuff out. I think I'm gonna do 9-inch squares, because if I do 9-inch squares, I'll have a nice, like, if I can go like 9 wide by 10 long. But what I want to do, where's a good one? This is a good one. This is a good one. This is a good one to show you guys what I mean. This is something that happens. This is something that happens when you are sewing. You deal with this all the time and don't even have to get. You get so used to dealing with it, but it's like, okay, if I do a 9-inch square, I want to make sure that inside that square is going to be enough of the pattern. Yeah, abracadabra. Nope, you're still a bitch. Like, that's a nice one. I like that one. But like, if I were to say, here's an example. Where is it? I am literally so lazy today. I bought some rulers not too long ago. They're still in the package. They're still in the package. By the way, you know what? If you don't have an envelope, if you don't have something to open an envelope with, these are awesome. These are amazingly awesome. So if I decide that I'm going to do 4-inch squares, just a 4-inch Okay, so this is a 4-inch ruler, and it still has, the reason why this looks funny is it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's still got the 1/4 inch all the way around. Hi, Linda. So if I were to decide that I was going to do 4-inch squares, then what I'd be looking at is not able, let me just get this right on here for you guys. I would be not able to have the entire pattern. I can't use, if I go small, if I do smaller squares, I can't use this because most of the text, like it just wouldn't be showing up properly. It would actually be it would be a waste of the fabric, right? So I'm sorting out right now. I'm sorting by design, and I'm sorting by size because if I do, now I could do smaller ones for this. I'm planning like 6 projects all at the same time is what I'm doing. Because I can just start hacking this stuff up for a quilt, and then if I change my mind and go, oh, I want to make something else, then I'm really screwed because I can go, what I can do with this one here. Where's my other ruler? I had an even smaller ruler in my hand. Literally, there it is. Yeah, so I can't go that small. It's too small for the design, but it's perfect for this design, right? The design repeats often enough. I've talked about that before, but when I buy fabric, I don't think I'm making anything. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to, well, okay, let me back up. Let me just stutter for an hour. I am probably going to make a couple of small pillows because I definitely want to make a pillow out of this one. And where's the other one? And this one. I want to make these two. Yeah, see, look at this one. This one here. I want to make a pillow out of this one. This is the one that says wine slut on it. But if you look, and I grab my 9-inch ruler, I can center one beautifully. Yeah, I should be fine. Yeah, see, look, I can come over here. If I line this up badly, I don't know if you guys can see this. If I line this up badly, I could waste an entire square. It would still be pretty fabric, but you're totally missing the point of what it says on it, right? Do I ever make little bags for crystals like a mojo bag? I have. It's been a long time. Basically, what I found making a little mojo bag and stuff like that, I can't. Doing it with a lining makes it so tiny and it makes it really hard to deal with. I can do them without a lining. They're really easy, actually. I could do one right now and show you guys how easy they are. You don't even need a sewing machine to make a mojo bag. But yeah, so this one here, I'm probably gonna make a pillow out of. For Lisa, I'm gonna make this one for Lisa. I'm gonna make a pillow, and I will still have fabric left over that I can do for I can make a pillow out of this and still have some squares left. And I need to decide, I'll show you the pillow I made for Lisa. I'll be right back. I used up the last. I already showed this on the channel. I already showed this, did I not? I made this for Lisa, or the very last little bits of the Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, the red wine slut fabric would make an awesome pillow. So I did this basically this year. I had a piece. This is, I think, 8 by. Yeah, this was like 8 by 22. No, 16 by. I made a pillow out of this, and it's just the exact same fabric all the way around. I made a cute little pillow, stuffed it with memory foam. Okay, so this one here, but Lisa actually, I made it because it was cute and I had leftover fabric, and I've got an entire box of the pillow stuffing. Lisa actually has been using it like as a little, like, put along the back of as a neck pillow behind her on the couch and stuff like that. She actually really, really likes it. So I'm not making them this size, but I found out that this is super easy. This is something that I made. I think I might make her something a little tiny bit bigger, and maybe That might be a good one. This might be a good one for Lisa to have when she's doing her when she's having wine when she's on live. But I want to make her a pillow out of this one. Abracadabra, nope, you're still a bitch. Just because we call each other names for fun all the time. Never because we mean it. But yeah. But now I have to decide. I should have brought over some of my backing fabrics. I've got a collection. Yeah, this one would make an awesome pillow. But now here's the question though. You can do this one of two ways. You can do the entire thing all the way around, or you can do a front panel and then attach it to a more plain fabric as a back panel. That lets you keep the good stuff for more stuff. I think I've got enough of this to do by itself. Nanny B just told me not to make anything until tomorrow, so now I'm getting scared. Now I'm getting scared. Nanny B was the one who sent me this fabric, and she is in the house. But anyway, a little mojo bag. Yeah, I can make a mojo bag. Let's make a mojo bag today. Let's do that today. Okay, this is something else that I do. This is my process. One of the processes that I do is I'll get a bunch of stuff out. I find that okay, this is a limited supply of a fabric, right? I want to be able to plan it. Sometimes I will spend more time planning a project than I actually end up spending work doing it. I'm going to put these on the floor because I'm lazy. Yeah, this one is nice. This one is really nice. Okay. Yeah, if you've got something that's tied up really, really tight and you happen to have a seam ripper handy, this is the best. This is the best at opening anything. Oh, and a seam ripper, by the way, kids. Let me see. These little tiny guys are amazing for opening decks because you can work it into the corner, just like I did. You work it into the corner and then go right through. You can work it into the corner of a box in an area where if you happen to nick the cardboard a little bit of the box, right, that it's not going to catch anything because that shrink wrap always has a little tiny spot somewhere where it's sticking out a little tiny bit. So if you have a seam ripper, and it doesn't need to be it needs to be a small one. It can be as fancy as you want it to be. Yeah, seam ripper was my most used sewing tool. But if you happen to have a seam ripper handy, it doesn't have to be fancy, but it has to be small, and it just pops right in. And I don't know why, because there's all kinds of things that will tear the way in, but it's got just enough of a blade to cut plastic. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm always telling Lisa, get a seam. Lisa's always in there with a freaking steak knife opening her decks. I'm like, go grab one of my seam rippers. This is gorgeous. Okay. This is gorgeous. I don't know why. Well, I do. I like the darker colors. The darker colors are more for me. So I'm going to take all of these ones. where the pattern is closer together. Those are getting set aside for a quilt because I haven't 100% decided what I might. Here's another one of my rulers. What I might also do is do triangles. I don't know what I'm gonna. Yeah, seam ripper is my frenemy. I don't know if I'm gonna just use this and do the no. This is no thinking. Just cut along the ruler, right? But because I happen to have the rulers, it's a great way for me. It helps. It definitely helps with the visualizing. Definitely helps you with your visualizing. Something else that you can do is take a piece. If you're trying to visualize fabric, and this is something I've done, take a piece of paper, measure it. I want to do 6-inch squares, and I want to sew my 6-inch squares together and make a quilt top, right? But I want to visualize what my fabric is gonna. I want to visualize like I said, like this guy here. This is too big for 6-inch squares because this right here is 6. Well, it'll barely be big enough. Okay. This will barely be big enough for a 6-inch square, and in order to make it work well, I would have to do 6 inches. That's going to become waist, 6 inches. I can't go I can go 6 inches, 6 inches, 6 inches, as long as some of these are correct, if you know what I mean. If you want to be able to visualize, grab a piece of paper and then mark your square on it, cut it out, and then hold that. I'll show you because I can. Do I have regular paper? What do I have? I have paper. I'll be right back. I don't know what I just grabbed, but it's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna do it the cheating way. Okay, so I want to visualize on some of these larger pieces and find out what I can and can't do with the cutting. I hope you guys can hear me. I'm spinning around all over the place. Definitely not looking at the microphone. There we go. Okay, so yeah, oh yeah, he's over there. He's over there being Mr. Sleepy Boy. Shayla's, Shayla just had her hair cut. We just gave her a haircut, so she's less fluffy now, but she's more comfortable. So she's fine. Okay, this is a really easy trick. I've used it before. I have no idea what kind of paper this is. I just grabbed some shit. So basically, mark it up any way you want. Now I'm gonna do. I want to see what a 6-inch square looks like. This is. This is a 6-inch square, and it has a built-in 1/2 inch all the way around for seam allowance. If you really want to, as long as you have your 6-inch square, you're good to go. Okay. You guys already know what I'm doing. I don't think I'm stunning anybody. I just want. I know I'm not like surprising you guys with how this part goes. I just want you guys to talking about it, and then come on. This is my crap. These are my crappy scissors, so I don't mind cutting paper with them. I try not to cut paper with my good scissors. So there you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing by taking strips of paper and just taping them together. Do whatever makes sense for you. Like I said, I know you guys are smart enough to know exactly what I'm doing. I just want you to. It's like one of those things. It's like, I want to not only describe it but show you exactly what it looks like to actually do it. It's like talking about riding a bike isn't the same as experiencing, and talking about making a little view, like make a little viewport, right? One thing that a lot of people struggle with is looking, and you can even you can walk into a store. That's what I should do. I should make these and sell them. Yeah, learn a whole new skill. It does not need to be perfect, right? Like if you're looking for 12 by 12, just tape pieces of paper together and don't worry too much about life. I'm not worried about making this 100% perfect, but I want it to be close. Because let me just. People have a really hard. People go into the. People have said this to me before. It's like I walk into the fabric store, I see this fabric, and then I can't visualize what I want to do with it. You don't have to visualize. You can just come over here and go, okay, if I do this, get over there, get out of my way, out of my way, out of my way. So then, okay, let me get one that's a lot busier. Let me get a busier one out. Look at this guy. Look how busy this guy is. Okay. This guy's pretty busy, right? It says fancy as fuck on it. Let's get in the right direction here. Ish, right direction. Ish. Come on. Am I gonna do this without wrecking my camera? Bet you I'll wreck my camera. Okay. So that's a little busy. Now it's not bad because you're getting in close, but you're walking up, you're doing this. It's like, okay, oh, I like that it says that, but it's a little busy. Well, now what do I think of it? It's like, oh, that's not too bad. If I had it surrounded by other fabrics that aren't as busy, that aren't like I said, look, this is a little bit visually overwhelming, but you do that. It helps you, the white space helps you ignore everything that's around it, and you focus in the center, and now you can make better decisions. You can go, oh, wait a second. This is good. This is fine. This looks good in small pieces. And if I surround it by, okay, we know the colors aren't going to match because I'm just grabbing shit off my shelf. But it's like, if I surround it by a different color, now I know that if I surround it by a different color, it'll break it up. It's not going to look nearly as bad. And it lets you, now it's not nearly as busy. Get it? It's a bad example because I'm just grabbing shit off the most convenient shelf. But now if you were to take something like this, and have it and have white, and you can use a black piece of paper, color it black, do whatever. But if you were to take that and then surround it by something solid, it's going to be a lot less jarring. Or you can surround it by something contrasting, right? That contrast is a little busy. Can you snap a photo of the fabric and use a digital frame, especially when shopping? You probably could. You absolutely. I mean, I've been doing this. I don't want to do the arrogant thing. I've been doing it long enough that I just kind of mentally, I mentally focus on just a tiny bit of the fabric. But people that are struggling, because Lisa will sometimes go, like, she does, but she doesn't. Lisa's very good about picking out fabric, but sometimes she'll go, oh, I want blah. And I'm like, oh, that won't work. And she's like, why? Right? And it's like, oh, well, when you look at it this way, but if you take this, you can digitally have a frame. That would actually be a really good idea. Like you take this, you take that. You guys can sit in the corner. So you take that. Now, when you get in and you have, so basically, I know that for this, to use these two fabrics together, I need them to be separated. If I'm going to use a lot of these two in a project, I do need them to be separated by a neutral color so that they won't be so overwhelming. And I also need to, and this is what this helps you with too. I also need to make sure that I'm not using too much of this fabric at any one time. I'm not going to do a 15 by 15 reading cloth out of this. It'll make your eyes bleed. But if I were to do a project that uses a small piece of this surrounded by other stuff, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's helpful or confusing. It's one idea. It's one idea that works because I watch people go in and go, oh, I can't use this fabric. It's too busy. I can't, or they'll buy this. Like I already know that this, okay, I already know that this will work. I already know that this is fine, but at the same time, it's like, what do I think? What happens if I break it down to something smaller? Well, if I break it down, here we are again. If I break it down to something smaller, I can end up with pieces that are just that. This is actually the bigger argument. Not argument. We don't argue. This is actually the bigger conversation that Lisa and I have when we're picking out fabric because this is awesome. But unless I can line that one up. I can line that one up. And then, okay, so then I put the next spot there. The next one doesn't look so good. If I try to make 6.5-inch squares out of this fabric, because remember I've said before, fabric is really fucking expensive, right? If I try to incorporate this fabric into a quilt, it's not okay. If I try to incorporate all of this fabric into a quilt, it's not going to go well. I'm going to have pieces that look like this, and I'm going to feel like this is the whole point. That is the whole point of this fabric. Now, it doesn't have to be in the center. It does not have to be centered. But if I go too small, I'm going to end up with a lot of waste, right? And I've seen that happen. People are going, oh, I went ahead and bought this fabric, but then by the time I took that one And then that one, like you can see, you don't even have to guess. Put your finger there, move it over to there, line it up there. You've got like a what, 2-inch, 3-inch strip that's no good because you're trying to line this up, but it's not quite enough. You can't line this up because they, I'm over explaining it. I'm over explaining it just to give you guys some ideas on the problems you can avoid by being able to, like for this fabric here, if I make this into a pillow, it's going to be a big enough piece that it's not going to matter where I cut it, and I'll still be able to use the leftover fabric. But if I try and do something small with it, I'm going to have, I cut this one out here. Everything here is now no good. It's halfway cut off. So I can go that one, then that one. And again, I've got 3-inch strips all the way around. I can make things bigger. I can go bigger. Absolutely. I can't go smaller, especially if I want to avoid waste. I got rulers everywhere already. I've already made a big fucking mess. Now for this one here, if I go like that, I've got a big shiny spot. For this one here, it's not going to matter. Even if this is off centered, no matter how I cut it, I know you guys can't necessarily see the red on pink very well, but no matter how I cut it, I'm going to get this. It's okay for me if I end up lining it up. That way I could have a problem, but as long as I line it up with at least one of these centered, everything else will fall into place enough that I can get through it all and not waste anything. That's another problem that you can sometimes have. That's another big problem that you can sometimes have. If you're buying a fabric specifically with the idea of centering something, then if you love the fabric enough and really want to use it, you may be stuck committing to some waste. One nice thing, if I'm in love with this fabric enough, I need 6-inch squares, so I'm going to commit to that 2 inches of waste all the way around. That is what ends up being, like, these strips here are what ends up being scrap for other projects. But anyway, overstating the benefit of something that will help you zoom in on a busy fabric so that you can, because like I said, you get a fabric that's really busy, you get it home and then realize, oh my God, it looks like shit. It looks like shit when I do this, and this. This will help you zoom in. Like I said, I can't really turn this into a reading cloth, right? If I were to turn this into a reading cloth, I can't really make it work. It's too small, it's too busy, but I can use it as another project. This will make a beautiful reading cloth. Reading cloth, pillow. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Anyway, I'm going to take these smaller ones. These smaller ones are going aside in the pile to get those small. The smaller ones are going aside in the pile so I can get these smaller. I guess I haven't decided. I'm going to stop over and over and over. I have not decided what I'm doing for a quilt. I will decide that I'm going to make a quilt. And then I can end up spending weeks thinking about what kind of design I want to actually do for the quilt, because once you start hacking up your fabric, you don't necessarily get to start over. This guy would be nice. This is something else too, is that, yeah, see, now that will be not bad. If I do a small piece of that, I do a small piece of the bright, and then I have this here, and that's going to be like a bigger piece as well in between. It breaks up the lines, because this is a straight line, these are in multiple directions. That helps too. These are going to be a quilt. Those are definitely going to be on a quilt. This is going to be a separate project. That's going on the quilt. That's going to be on a quilt. This one here, I've already been through all of these fabrics. I'm just, now this one here, There's a ruler that I threw on the ground. Hi, Sheila. I'm throwing everything on the ground today, puppy. This one here. This one here. I can definitely make this one here. If I decide on smaller, the 4-letter quill. Yeah, there you go. If I decide on smaller squares, this one will work, but I will be losing. They all say the exact same thing. That's something else that matters too. Like this brown one here. This brown one here. What does it say? No, this all just says, do I look like a fucking people person? So this one here's fine. This one here's fine. One of them, for sure. So this one here, no matter what size I use, I can go as high as I can do. If I'm being lazy, I also have a 12-inch ruler, but I think I'm going to go for the 9-inch because then I can also put little plain, maybe even just black or something, but I can put plainer stuff interspersed to break it up so it's not so busy. If I go 9, but they all say the exact same thing, and there's enough of them that no matter how I line this up, I'll get at least one. That's the thing. It's like I will get at least one per square, or most of one. Yeah, because this one says live, laugh, love, leave me the fuck alone. It leaves. This one will work if it's smaller. Hey, I'm glad I made this stuff. This one, it turns out I'm going to be using it. Come on. Like, I know I've got the ruler. I usually just use the ruler, right? But sometimes having something with a hole in it helps. So that one will definitely work. It's not gonna, I don't have a lot of that one, but it's gonna be nice. So that's fine. This is 100% quilt. This is now when I'm buying it myself, okay, that one will be easy, no matter where I put it. No matter where I put it. This one says I work with cunts. Now this is an interesting one. I actually mentioned it to my son. I said, hey, I'm probably gonna make some stuff to send over to your house, but I want, so I let him know what everything said, and he said he's got friends that he's got friends would absolutely love this, like as a pillow. So maybe I should put that in the possible pillow pile. Oh, this one here. This one here. This one here says, shut the fuck up, get the fuck out of here, what the fuck. This one says a lot of different things. So what I'm thinking with this one, and this is longer than the standard. Oh, up here in Canada, quilting fabric is 42 inches with the fabric. This one's longer. I think I measured it at like 54 or something. It's longer though. What did I measure it at? Let me measure it. I could either make one really big pillow. I can go back over here now. I can make either one really big pillow, one big pillow, 2 small pillows, but I can make one big or 2 small pillows. I can make a pillow. Oh, this isn't showing the color very well. Let me see what we got here. That's closer. Sometimes the lighting really matters. That's a bit closer. Once I'm getting it seems to be a little like yellowing when I get a little further. It's got a lot of yellow in it. It's a nice. This is gorgeous, and this is stealth. This is the one that I said to make a nice tote bag that you can just like do. And if anybody has a problem with you and going, why are you so close to me that you can even read this? Anyway, so I think with this one, if I start cutting this up small, again, here's my thing. If I start cutting this up small, I'll get a couple. I'll definitely get 1 or 2 in every block. That's not going to be the problem. Yeah, I'll get several per block, so I'll be fine. But it'll be really nice if I had something where one whole piece has all the stuff on it. So I'm definitely saving some. I'm definitely saving at least some of this for a pillow. And I can even just make it that big, right? A little pillow that you just go like that while you're sitting on the couch, a little neck pillow for a little bit of support. That turned out to be really, really, really useful. I thought Lisa was going to use this like for lumbar because it's a perfect size to be a lumbar pillow. but she's been using it as a lean against things pillow. Anyway, that one there. This one there, this one here is definitely going into the quilt. I just don't know if the whole thing is. I don't know if I'm putting the entire thing in the quilt. Just a ray of fucking sunshine. That's definitely going in. So now I've got all these. I've definitely got camera problems. I've got every freaking color in the rainbow. So I definitely. Hi, Bohemian girl. Yeah, you're not that late. I've only been on for like half an hour. I am literally just babbling about fabric. I'm planning. I'm in the planning stages right now. I've got out all my swear fabric. This one's definitely going in as well. This one just says fuck. Actually, this one might not go in. This one is, these ones have got lots and lots of stuff going on. This one here is another one of those ones that might be a nice little stealth project. Turn this guy into a pillow, and until you get close, you're not seeing anything. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys a story. Do you guys remember me showing the fabric? There was one piece of fabric, and it had, it was fuckity fuck in circles, and there were circles all over the fabric. There was just enough piece to make a pillow. Just enough of a piece to make a pillow. So what I did with that piece was I made a pillow, and I mentioned, oh no, I already mentioned it. I sent it in as a gift for Lisa's boss, because he had a rough week, and we know him. He's a good guy. Yada yada yada. Right. So I was like, I'm making your boss a pillow. Oh yeah. This is the stuff that Nanny B sent. I already did a walkthrough showing it all. I'm sorting it out. Okay, that is going into a quilt. That's going into a quilt. I'm separating out stuff that doesn't necessarily fit in the way that I want it to fit. Now, here's something interesting. There's boob fabric here, and a little bit of boob fabric as a neutral color would be nice. But then again, it'd be nice for me or nice for guys. We've got this boob fabric and this boob fabric. Oops, the boobs are upside down. We have to organize our boobs correctly. I've got these two boob fabrics. I'm definitely doing some stuff with those. I'm debating now if I incorporate it, like, I mean, unless you are, we could call it a dirty pillow. Oh, that's a good one. Good one. Okay, I like that one. And then there's the kinky fabric. The boob fabric and the kinky fabric, they're going to be a separate project. And I haven't decided that there's enough. Okay, there is enough of this stuff here that if I mix it with something more generic, like this is dark colors. This is bright. This is dark again. So I could mix little pop dark and dark with little pops of color. I could definitely turn this. There's enough here to turn this into a lap size quilt. There's this I can definitely. There's probably enough here especially if I use, Peggy's dirty pillows. Oh my God, that'd be fun. There's enough fabric here to do. I can probably turn this, like, look how big this stack is, right? I can probably turn this into 2 quilts and turn this into 1. And that's not counting any fabric I save for other projects. Because don't forget, like, I could take there's ways to do it using just regular fabrics, which we know I have a stockpile up. There's ways to do it using more normal fabrics, and then just having these be the little pops through it. So there's that. So that's sorted. Now that I've sorted out exactly what fabrics I want to use for the quilt, I can start cutting. I'm gonna bring you guys out. I'm gonna bring out a quilt. You guys can help me decide. I'm gonna bring out a quilt that I did. I'm gonna be a minute. the bigger ones. Okay, I'll grab that one. I went to the back looking for this. Yeah. I went to the back looking for this. This is pretty basic. This is really simple. What I did with this particular blanket is I just made squares. Each one on the back is also different. I made squares. This is my quilt. This is a quilt as you go quilt. So this is all I did. Every square, because of the way I do my quilt as you go, every square ends up being framed by whatever that particular backing fabric is. Aw, I'm sorry I'm sorry that you couldn't use it, but I'm happy that I have it. That's a catch-22. Anyway, I can just start hacking. I can just start cutting up fabric and making one of these. I can just start, so I don't have to do anything exciting with it. And what I think I would do is just to give what I think I would do is go like randomly, but have that stuff all cut up, and then have some of these some plainer fabrics. I kind of did that here as well, right? Let me get my chair out of the way. This is how I plan. This is, my God, you guys are gonna, you know what? You guys can hear it so that Lisa doesn't have to, because I agonize over this shit. So I've got like pattern. Slight. This is less exciting. This is, where'd it go? I had one. Yeah, this is just a white, right? Pattern. More patterns, even at Christmas. That's Christmas. Oh no, that's traveling fabric. I thought that was the Christmas one. And then I've got just a green blender. Just stick it in there. Oh, thank you. This is actually, take a look at this. This is like one of the first quilts I ever made. And it has been kicking around for so long that it's starting to come apart. I am one of those horrible people that no matter what I do, I always kick off the fitted sheet and end up sleeping on just the blanket. So I gave up on fitted sheets years ago. So I basically wash my blankets about once a month or sooner if something happens. Anyway. Yeah, I walked past it. Just a second. I'm gonna take advantage of being up. I'm sorry, Bruno. Let me give you your blanket. What's that? There you go. It's okay. I'll put it back later. I walked past it. Yeah, huge scrap buster, and it's fucking easy. I could show you right now and show. I would be on here. I'm going to be on here for a while, but as a scrap buster, that quilt is awesome. The back pieces are scrap, and so are the front pieces, and it's not that difficult to make. So I'm not hyper. I don't know why. I don't know why the caffeine. Caffeine's not a problem, right? Okay, so basically, I can turn this into one of those really simply. But, and anybody, is Gail in the house? And Nanny B, do you quilt? Or do you just do your other stuff? Anyway, once you start cutting up the fabric, now if I'm cutting up fabric for work, and I screw something up, it's like if I'm cutting large and go, oh, I shouldn't have done a large, I can change it, I can fix it, right? Anyway, once I start cutting this up, I can't uncut it. So I have to decide up front. I can do a quilt that looks just like that, and those look great. I've got two of them. That one there is so old and has been washed so many times, and some of the fabric that was in it isn't necessarily the best fabric, so it's starting to fall apart. It's now a dog blanket. That's a dog blanket now. That's a dog blanket now, unless I decide to fix it. It's not like our dogs are so big that they're going to destroy it. So He just went back to sleep. I put his blanket down for him. He's like sleeping beside it. He's like, I don't know why you did this, but I don't want it. Yeah, I went back to the back looking for it. Walked past it like 3 times and then realized, oh right, Lisa's recycled it. Anyway, GAY. Oh, quilt as you go. That's how I do most of my quilting. Is quilt as you go. Even my big dragon, the quilt that I just did for Lisa, quilt as you go. I did that as quilt as you go. I prefer when I'm sewing. It's like first I sew for work, and then I sew in my spare time, just like anybody else that has a day job, right? So it's like I want to make quilts. I want to do this and I want to do that, but I just don't have the time to do it properly. I'm getting better though. I'm getting better as I go. So if I do this as a quilt as you go, I just pick a size and start making squares. And it's really, where is my 12-inch ruler? Because I'm going to need it. It's okay, Shayla. I'm not going to get you. I have a 12-inch ruler okay. Quilt as you go, you do your front pieces. You pick a size for your front pieces, and then your back pieces need to be about 1.5 to 2 inches bigger than that. So I prefer, when possible, picking from within the size of. This is what I did. Once I realized that my favorite size for quilt as you go is actually a 10-inch top. This is 9 inches. My favorite size is actually 10 inches. You get to use a lot of fabric. A lot of patterns repeat every like 10 to 12 inches. So using that, I think I need to do 9 though, because most of these are small enough that I'm afraid that if I do 10 inches, it's going to start looking really busy. That extra inch can matter. Yeah, I like that. But if I want to do a pattern, if I want to do a design, you guys saw, everybody saw Lisa's quilt, right? So if I want to do something big, okay, like if I want to take this as a bigger central pat, I can do this as a big like 20 by 20 and then build the quilt around it with a big panel here. So I can do stuff like that. And I need to decide now, because I do not want to, once I cut everything down to 9-inch pieces, I can't do much else with it. So, I mean, I don't know. You guys have an opinion? Help me think. Help me do my thinking. I don't like this. I can also do triangles. Triangles might be interesting, because then I can do a triangle of square, and then the other side can be plain. So I can do that and then plain, and then that would really fix any issues with this looking super busy. But if I do 10-inch squares, I can cut everything and still be able to decide later. Now, this is why I'm going to stop. That's what I do. So now I've given myself my problem. And now I'm going to go find something else to do. Oh, and this one here says, having a vagina doesn't stop me from having a bigger, from having a vagina doesn't stop me from believing that my balls are bigger than yours. So and it's got a unicorn on it, and it's really cute. So Lisa has to have at least one thing out of that. So I got to do that too. But I said like a medicine pouch of some kind. So we can let's pull some fabric out and make one. Let's distract myself while I think about this. Yeah, the triangles I have done triangles before. What you do is you build your square. Yeah, I've done it before on my I've done it before at other projects where I make the triangle, end up with a square, And then I just square it up and I still have my quilt as you go. I still assemble it as a quilt as you go. I just build, so I do the individual piece and I just don't, yeah, I can still do the individual blocks. I need to learn how to do that. So this is, oh, I've got some over there. Okay. So a medicine pouch. Think about a medicine pouch. I've got I got white thread, blue fabric. Let's have some fun. Let's distract me for a minute. Kid you not, planning is mostly mental. I'm mostly mental, so it's fine. There we go. Medicine pouches. Square up the end. Get that like that. Now, I don't have any sort of a template, so this could be a template. With or without a liner. Quilt as you go is where you do each block as a separate piece. I'll go get a different quilt. Well, okay, I'll go get this quilt back out. Yeah, Bruno's not laying on it. He'll be fine. Quilt as you go. Quilt as you go is really simple. This is, come on, let me get it. I got to get this up here correctly or you won't be able to see anything. Okay. Quilt as you go is where you take a quilt block. So this is a block. This is one section of the quilt, right? Quilt as you go is where you take one piece of your fabric. So a quilt is the top fabric, the back fabric, and then whatever. Look at this. I gotta like. I have a project that I want to get into. I want to come back and repair all this. And I want the repairs to be big and obvious and like put on a proper, like just the binding has worn out over time. With this blanket got dragged around the house for like, God, when did I make this? I made this over 5 years ago, but it saw a lot of hard use. And this was relatively low cost, not quite as nice as the fabric I'm using now. So it didn't last the same. Actually, no, this is really nice fabric. What am I thinking? Yeah, it's the good stuff. Anyway, so basically a quilt is the top, the middle, whatever's adding your padding to the middle and then your back. So quilt as you go, and you can see this here where this, and so these are your blocks, and on this the backs are all different because I did that intentionally, right? So quilt as you go, you make this block first, set it aside. The top, the middle, and the back are all connected first. Then you do every single one of them. And then later, there's like 4 or 5 different ways to connect them all together. So you do each block first separately. And then when you're ready, you connect them all together, which is what this is. So this kind of really shows it really well because everything's different colors. Everything's different colors so you can see. So these were all made individually and then connected after. This is the front of the quilt. Because my particular system, you end up with each block having like a border on it, but there's other methods to connect the quilts where this is not visible. And I don't know how to do those. I logically know how it's done. I haven't tried it for myself. And the methods that I've seen, I don't particularly like. So there's that. There's also a quilt as you go where you can, there's a bunch of there's different ways to do it. This is related to the way I do it. But yeah, I got to come in here. I want to come in here and do some like really obvious repairs, and because it will kind of recycle this blanket into a new blanket. Like, so instead of just putting a new binding on, which is the edge, I can just take a larger piece of fabric, slap it on, sew it down, and then it'll look like that going forward, right? So I want to do some sort of I want to do some sort of a repair job on this that looks really, really obvious, because it will, like I said, it will recycle the quilt and turn it into something new. It is a floor blanket. It is the dog's blanket. It has been repurposed as the dog's blanket now that it's starting to show wear and tear. The really good news is now that I have other quilts, and because we had Lisa's quilt and we had that quilt, and then I made quilts for. I made one for John, one for his girlfriend. I made a bunch for his girlfriend's nieces and nephews. Some for friends, some for relatives, then made Steve's quilt. So it's like, yeah. So I basically only had 2 quilts in the house. Okay. Now, do we want to do, I've got a mini over here. We can sacrifice a mini for the cause. So if I do it with a lining, it would be exactly like my bag now. And I made some stuff. Where is it? Ah, there we go. Okay. I took the leftover fabric from Lisa's stuff, like I said I would. This isn't the only leftovers, by the way. This is just the blue. I took the one I had the least of. I've got blue. I've got a ton of the pink left, and I've got one fabric that we. Hi, Sarah. I've got one. Thank you. I've got one that I've got one fabric that I bought that we ended up not using. So this is a mini, and it's inside out, right? This is my problem. Is that once you turn it inside right, it's a decently sized bag. But it's already getting okay. You guys all know what it means when you're talking about. I think everybody does. If you don't, I'm happy to explain. You guys know what it means if you have like 330 GSM for a tarot deck, but then you start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It starts feeling thicker and harder to use and harder to use. Every single one of these that I've made, as soon as I try to go smaller, it starts feeling really, really awkward, difficult to use, difficult to get your hands in. Yeah, bordered squares. I love the bordered squares. Yeah, each square is finished until joining. I get overwhelmed with traditional quilting and it turns out like crap. Yeah, you know what? I prefer my quilt as you go. It works for me. I can because in order for me to quilt, I quite often have to put away whatever I'm working on and then get the quilting stuff out and whatever. And going back and forth on a bigger project just takes up a lot of time and space. I've done a couple that are just regular quilts, but I enjoy the results, but I enjoy it. So basically, once you start getting a little bit smaller than this, it starts getting problematic. And a mojo bag, you want it to be able to seal fully. These seal very, very, very well, but because you've got so many layers of fabric here, they seal very well, but not fully. If you were to put herbs or something in here, no matter how well, okay, you would tighten the bag and then you would like spin it up underneath the bag. So with that in mind, this just doesn't really work the way I would like it to. I can make it work. But what am I doing? So I'm actually not going to use that. I'm going to put it back. I was going to do one with it. I was going to do one with that fabric just to see what I think of it. And then I realized I don't want to do that. So a mojo bag, I'm just going to do a basic mojo bag here, right? So that's going to be, it's going to be a little smaller than that when it's done. What size did I make this? I need to make it 4 inches. So we're going to do 4 inches by 10 inches. 4 inches by 10 inches. That should be about right. No, this is already, what is this already? This is already 4 by 11. I'm going to leave it at 4 by 11. Because first thing you have to do, let's get over here. I'm not trying very hard, so if it doesn't end up looking all that shit hot, it's fine. We're committing to the idea, not to the perfection of the idea. Look at that. Works out really well. So basically, because this is, what the heck? That's the wrong one. There we go. Oh, that can be a bit bigger. Okay, so ideally, if you have the time for it, you're going to want to sew these because you're working with such small pieces that you don't want things to shift around if you don't have to. So you just put a little edge there. Put a little edge there. Don't forget, you need to get a little piece of string through here. So whatever you think is comfortable for getting a piece of string through. And I'm going to cheat already. Just a second. Oh, no, I'm not. Where's my bodkin? I got to go get a bodkin. Give it back. Actually, that's what I got to get. Okay, got a bodkin. Got a bodkin. That's that little guy. Now I got a piece of my I've got a piece of my standard cord because I don't need the cord. I need the innards. I need that part. I've made a couple of these before. And they're not that hard. So first thing is a nice little blue. Now, like I said, if you have the opportunity to iron it first, and you're going to want to iron it, you don't want it to be super, you don't want a super thick thing here, but you want to fold it once, fold it again. That's how you're going to make your channel. And you're going to go straight down, and you are aiming for that inside area that you're making your channel. You're sewing it down. Make your stitches. Whenever you turn your machine on, it goes to a basic stitch length. So if you can go a little bit, if your machine should adjust. If your machine doesn't adjust, I'm not sure what to tell you, but make your stitch, because this is such a tiny project, make your stitches a little bit more closer together. Okay. That's it. Okay. Next one, make sure you're aware of that. Okay. Make a little thing here. Go down. Go down one more time. And if you can, if you don't want to measure it, just eyeball it. But once you get it squished into place, just make sure that it's about the same width. I just brought this down here, laid one on top of the other. It's about the same width. It doesn't need to be perfect. Ideally, mojo bags are, a lot of people prefer to make mojo bags out of leather. But if you're making your mojo bag out of fabric, so this is actually pretty easy. And because this type of a bag is, oh, I fucked it up. I fucked up. That's okay. Actually, I don't matter. I'm not going to care. I don't care. Okay. What I'm supposed to do, because these are quick. Now, a mojo bag, once it's sealed up, doesn't usually get opened back up again. But what you really should be doing, let me cut another piece. Let me cut another piece. Come on, you can come over here. Oh no, that's not what I want. That's the one I want. I'm just over here fixing shit. I forgot a step. Okay, I didn't forget a step. I didn't forget a step, but I'm also just going to make sure that I point it out because depending on what you're doing, it matters. Okay, again, this is still 4x11. What you should be doing is folding this tiny bit in here, the tiniest bit, and sewing that down. Sew it down for about the same distance that you intend your fold over to be. Nothing happened that mattered, okay? We're gonna do both. if you are making a mojo bag that you're just going to finish up. Okay, so I'm going to get back to that in a second. Let's just do these separately because this one here is almost done. Now, you need to decide. So I've folded that down. Okay, yeah. I will get back to the other one in a second. There is something I can do differently here, so we'll just go back to that. Forget what I just showed you. Pretend that part never happened. Okay, so you fold it down, you sew it down. You're good to go. That part's done. You folded it down, you sewed it down. Now, depending on what you're putting in your bag, you may want to, okay, say I need the bag to hold that, right? It's not harder. It's not really harder. It just feels harder. So I want it to be able to hold that. And I want it to be able to whatever. So you may want to fiddle and fart and go, okay, this might be a little bit too big. There's another way around it though, so trust me. You might want to fiddle and fart, and that's fine. The best way to do this for me is, okay, so you're going to go just ever so slightly above the stitch line that you put in here. You're going to go ever so slightly above that stitch line. Make sure that the front and back are lined up. Go ever so slightly above that stitch line. Stitches close together, because if you're doing a mojo bag, you might be putting in things like herbs and things like that. What's going on? Oh, sorry, my machine shifted. Okay. You might be putting in things like herbs and stuff like that. Oh, see you in a minute. You might be. Oh my God, I'm going to say the same thing over and over again. I don't know why drinking caffeine. I'm blaming the caffeine. I'm not hyper. You're hyper. I'm not hyper. Okay. Ever so slightly above that stitch line. And I started just below it so I can back up, get a reinforcing stitch, go down the edge. Back up at the end. Okay. Turn your stitches. Now, if you are really, really... Okay, let me get the second side done. Okay. Ever so slightly above the stitching line. A little bit of back stitching here to make sure that it's reinforced. Go down the edge. Now, I'm talking a mojo bag. So basically, all you've done... And you can do that. You can do this with a needle and thread. And I will recommend that if you are working magic into your bag, and you guys know exactly what I mean, that if you are, I would recommend that if you are working magic into your bag, that you do it yourself. Do it by you can fold this down, iron it, use a hot frying pan, give it a little whatever. There's plenty of ways to get a flat seam. So get your flat seam. So that you're done. I do recommend doing it yourself. Now, the other thing that I'm going to say is, depending on what you're putting in it, you may want to come back. Where's my zigzag stitch? Is that it? Nope. Is that right? No, that's not right. Let's do this again. I don't use zigzag stitches very often, so I'm like, how do I do this? So basically, now you can do this by hand. This is a stitch that's really easy to do by hand. Do a zigzag stitch over top of the straight stitch. Unless you have a machine that does overlocking and all that fancy stuff. Because again, if it's a mojo bag, if you're doing a mojo bag, there's a really good chance that you are sealing this bag up forever and you do not want it to come open. I'm making assumptions based on what I would use a mojo bag for, but if you're doing it, especially if you want little teeny things to stay in there. So just a zigzag stitch over the regular stitch, it'll prevent fraying at the edges. Okay. Now, you know what? I will tell you right now. This is such a simple idea. This is such a simple idea that this is really simple. Okay, so let's finish this bag. You flip it. You put your shit. See what I did there? What I did here was I didn't do it. This is going to fray over time, right? There it is. So for a Mojo bag, they are small enough that you really, really want a tiny, tiny. Come on. Now, I hope I made this big enough. Oh, this part goes in. Woo! Scared myself. Didn't know if it was going to go. Oh wait, what am I doing? That works. I'm just gonna do it the exact same way I do my other bags. So let's just get this guy closed up. This might be my little bodkin here might be too big for this. We'll find out. Okay, so then get it through there, get it started. Nope, it goes through. I tell you right now. Do I have it handy? I don't have it. Of course, I don't have it handy. There we go. Get that in there. Get that through. So you can string this any way you want, but because a Mojo bag is small, you want to string it with smaller cord. That's all I'm doing here. This is exactly the same way that I would string a bag for the shop. You don't have to do it any other way. Basically, this is really simple. You put up you have so you basically I've put it through on both sides. Pull one. Hold your thumb here to hold it steady. Pull one, and whichever one on the other side moves, it's opposite now. And you just tie them together. This is a pain in the butt. Now, while the bag is still inside out, you can. Hey, that's what I can do. Oh my God. There are so many ways to tie a knot. You don't have to do it this way. Come on. Maybe you shouldn't. This is hating on me. My fingers are too big for this. Okay, got one. Got one. Got the other. This should actually be longer. I should have grabbed the, well, maybe not. Let's see. I should have grabbed a longer piece of this. Now, because you're doing it, no matter just the reason why I put the knot on the other side is to look nice. So if you're doing a sigil bag, you don't necessarily have to do anything to make it look nice. Pull it in nice and tight. Get it nice and tight. And then once you get your stuff in there, get it in nice and tight. Pull this in nice and tight, and then just go underneath like that. And then, like I said, this should be longer. What am I doing here? That is supposed to be able to flip. How do I do that? There's a way to twist this and make it work. There we go. Twist, twist, twist. There's a bunch of ways to tie a knot. You don't have to do it this way. Get it down there. Of course, it didn't do it the way I wanted it to. That's fine. I don't care. One goes one way, one goes the other way. You tie it all off and you're done. Tie it off. So decorate your cord. Make your cord nice and long, because if you're doing a Mojo bag that is being sealed, and some people do these bags, and then like I said, depending on what you're doing, some people, a bag like this is super simple. You can make it out of scraps, really easy, exactly like I showed you. Not caring about that, especially if you're working with intention and you intend to bury it or put it somewhere where then this is all you need to do. For the thing that I said that I made a mistake was, what I had done was I had just taken my fabric, fold and fold, which is fine, but it leaves these so that they can fray. So if that's a problem for you, then you go like that. You go like that. You don't got to go crazy. You don't have to fold it over. You just tuck it in the tiniest way. Tiniest bit. Tuck it in the tiniest bit. Oh, wrong side. Oh, that's why it's still on that. And you just come off the edge. You just need to hold it down a little tiny bit. It doesn't. You can go all the way down if that's more your comfort, but you just need to get it in a little tiny bit so that when you do your fold, now when I do my fold down, the end here won't fray. That's the only thing that I did wrong, and it's not wrong. It just depends on what you want. Okay, so I have some stuff, and I'm gonna fuck around with some stuff today. Okay, get that done. Okay, do that. So what I would suggest, get that the tiniest bit. Do. Off the edge, just let it drift off to the edge. It doesn't have to be the entire thing. It just has to be enough so that when this is folded down, and you can just abruptly stop it. It won't change anything. It really won't. Trust me. You can even just do the bottom to the top. Come on. There we go. There. So now this way, if you're doing one that if you're doing a Mojo bag that you want to be able to reuse and open back up again, you probably want to do this step. That's the only thing that's different. That's the only thing that's different from this bag. Okay, that's the only thing that I'm doing differently is I'm adding this first before I fold it down and over. Because this stuff here, it's not going to do anything once it's sewn in. And yeah, there's a little bit of fraying. You can trim it off if it matters to you. And that's my loose thread. There's a little bit of fraying that's going to be on the inside of the channel. It won't affect anything. It really won't. You won't notice it. And then make sure that it's approximately the same size. Obviously, you can measure it. Non-swing, just how fun was Lisa's deck launch day? Oh my God, I can talk about that. I can talk about that now, can't I? She was a fucking wreck. Oh my God. Oh my God, she was so nervous. She was so nervous. I was come on, go forward. I was teasing her. I was like, this is going to be like Christmas Day for you. You're going to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And it was actually the opposite. She was so freaking high strung for the 2 or 3 days leading into it that the night of, she just went to bed and crashed. Okay, so now we're over here. So somebody mentioned, give me a second. We'll talk about launch day. Don't worry. Nope, that's not what I want. I will be right back. Oh, actually, I don't have to be right back. What am I thinking? I don't have to do anything. Fuck that noise. Behind the scenes has been a little bit crazy. Like, I don't know if you guys must be aware. You're asking $75,000 in pledges. It's like, oh my God. So she's like, well, you guys, I don't know. I don't know what the camera always shows. Okay. I really don't. Purple's a color. We'll pick purple. Do I have purple sitting over here? There it is. That's no. If you're already sewing, it's kind of hard to describe. Like, it was definitely stressful. Behind the scenes, Lisa has a newsletter, and I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. She's been talking about her Kickstarter in the newsletter for a while now. Not a surprise to anybody. And she's got and when you set up a Kickstarter, it also shows you how many people are watching the Kickstarter. It doesn't mean that they've done anything. It just means that they've done anything. It just means that they're keeping an eye on it. It means that they're aware of it. The pre-launch. I am really bad with Kickstarter. I have no idea how most of it works, right? So I am going to, scissors are not handy. I'm using that right now. And I don't know why I'm doing this. I could be doing it so differently. You guys know how long it's been since I hand sewn anything? Okay. As a matter of fact, we'll do two things. Okay, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to go crazy. So basically, yeah, we were basically checking in. I don't know if you guys do this. You know what? Everybody's done it. You're PMSing, so everything pisses you off. We've all done that. Now, Lisa wasn't doing that, but she was so high strung and knew it that we were checking in like daily and like the week leading up. Hey, how you doing? How's your mood? What's going on? What do you need? Blah, 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 blah. So we were doing a lot of that because she knew she was being, self-awareness is a thing, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but yeah. So she's like, the best way that's not how she described it. The best way for me to describe it is it felt like she was like dealing with a PMS thing full time for the entire week. So what we're going to do here, I've got that done and I've got that done. Okay. I do not have embroidery. Actually, I think I do, but I'm not sure where it would be. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go, okay, now I've got that. So embroidery is its own thing. And I pretend to know nothing about it. This is a friction pen. So I'm going to put, what am I going to put? What would I embroider on a Mojo bag? What would I put on a Mojo bag? Okay. I'm just going to keep it simple. That looks too much. That does not look right. I'm going to turn the thing on. I'm going to turn the iron on. I didn't like how it looked. I'm doing it again. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I am just going to do a moon. I was going to do like a half moon. I was going to do like a half moon or something. That's not going to work. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to take your little bag, you're going to do your thing, and you're going to ask yourself, now, everybody can do their own thing their own way, but like when I close the bag, what happens? Well, there's going to be stuff in the bag. So basically what you want to do is you want to go, actually, I'm going to flip this over and do something else for you. I'm going to show you guys how it really works. I was using machine or embroidery for a while, right? So what you want to do, and you can do this, if you're doing this by hand, then this is the stage you do it. If you're doing it on a machine, then you do it here and then work out your math around it. It's a different process. If you're doing it by hand, you go from, you assume a quarter inch, you assume wherever, I have no idea what it is, Moira. It's supposed to be something interesting. Start with the corner where you start with the sewn edge up here where you know that you're coming back and doing a seam allowance. Let me just do the math for you right now. You know that you're going to come back and you're going to sew everything. You're going to sew everything together. Now, that's about right. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but you're going to flip this guy. You're going to flip this guy inside out. And you know that you're going to have line. You know that you're going to sew from about there to there. Okay. So then you want to take, and this is how you're going to measure it. I'm just marking it so that you guys can see what it is. So then you go here to there and to there. So you want to center your work. You want to center your work based on where your sewing lines are going to be, not where the actual edge is right now. Okay? It doesn't need to be perfect, but so you want your design, because my first design is here. I actually want my design to be a little bit lower. And also what you want to do, depending on what you're doing, is take into account that once your bag is mushed up, how much space are you going to lose? Look, that's where the center is going to be. Right? But you're also going to have a little bit of stuff in the bottom. So that's your center. So that's how so basically you find your center based on where your stitch line, you find your center based on the bottom of this stitch line, not the top. It's really easy to go. It's really easy to take this and go, oh, it's going to be here. It's like, no, that you're going to lose that to your top channel. You're going to lose that to your bottom channel, right? So then you're going to lose a strip across the bottom to the middle. Do I have one that was marked for that? I used to have a template. I used to have a cardboard template that I marked according to where. Yeah, if you embroider first, okay. Embroidering first can be easier, right? If you're going to hand embroider, like I'm about to, if you're going to hand embroider, then it's super simple because you just get your top, put on your top and your bottom channel, guesstimate where your side seams are going to go on, and then crisscross, and there's your sewing area. If you're going to do it first, if you're going to use an embroidery hoop and do it first, then what do we have to do? Here's what we have to do. Does anybody use the embroidering hoop? Am I just talking up my ass for the sake of conversation? I'm going to have this so wrecked by the time I get around to doing anything. Okay. If you're going to embroider on a sewing machine or anything else, then what you need to do is first, you're going to figure out, okay, my pattern goes from here to here. It is a heat erase pen. It's called a friction pen. Is it going to show up? I don't know if it's going to show up. These are called friction pens, and you actually get them in the stationery section, but you just zap them with an iron. People love them for their journaling and stuff. So basically, it's like, I have this is an 11-inch piece of fabric. Okay, 11-inch piece of fabric. So I know I'm going to be using this for other stuff, so I'm not going to actually mark things up. So I know that I'm going to lose about 1 inch on the top and the bottom for my channel, right? You have to pre-decide how big your channel. Well, you don't have to pre-decide, but you have to pre-decide what the maximum size of your channel is going to be so that you can line things up properly. So then you got to go, okay, so where's the middle of my fabric? 11 inches, that's 5.5. Here's the middle of my fabric. And it's really easy to go, oh, well, I want my design in the middle. Obviously, you don't. You want your design in the middle of whatever's left after you allow for your channel. And I will be right back. Yeah, they're great for fabric. The only thing you have to watch out for, this is the interesting thing about a friction pen though, is if whatever it is that you've marked with the pen freezes, the ink can reemerge. It will wash off. The ink does wash off, but the ink can reemerge. Okay, this is the Moonchild Tarot. This is the bag I made for it. Okay. And this is how it's centered. And if you can see that, now you would think that it should center right there, and it's actually centered up here because I had to allow enough space for the channel. I had to allow, this is what happens, right? So I had to allow enough space for the actual channel, plus enough space so that when the bag is tied shut, let's go in reverse. I had to allow enough space so that when the deck is in, see how the bottom flattens. So this deck is, I'm sitting right beside a ruler. This deck is a little over 2 inches tall. Okay. So I have to make sure that because I already happen to know what was going into this bag when I made it, right? So I happen to know that I needed to make sure that whatever I was doing was at least 1 full inch away from wherever my bottom was. Okay. I also happen to know how tall the deck was. so that when the deck, I also knew that when the bag was closed, oh my God, when the deck was closed, I also knew that when the bag was closed, a certain amount of space up here was going to be unusable. But now look, now it's still a little tiny bit low. I've got like 1 finger width here and almost 2 at the top. But this is centered according to what I'm putting in it, because I knew I knew that the bag was going to be big. I knew the deck was going to be big. So I knew that I knew that this was going to be all bunched up. The type of design that it is doesn't look good if it's scrunched. If this scrunches even a little bit, there's nothing to see, right? It's whatever. So I knew that it had to be flat. So this is how I measured it. So I did the math. This is a math exercise. This is all it is. This is a math exercise. I am making this sound 1,000 times more difficult than what it is. But what I'm pointing out is, if you already know what you're making it for, then you have to take whatever the deck was. It's a 2-inch deck, so I need at least an extra inch. 1 inch for the back, 1 inch for the front. I knew I needed an extra inch. I knew that this was a big chonky deck, so I knew that I was going to want this to be lower than usual. And then, oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I made this for Lisa. God, how long has she had the Moonchild? I made this for her. I think I made her the bag before the deck even came in, because I had the measurements. So generally speaking, figuring out where your lines are is usually good enough. And unless you're working on a special project, you don't need to go completely crazy. But I like to figure out what is the let me get this back on camera. I figure out where's the channel going to be? Where is the channel going to be? Double it. Look at that. Double it. Take off. Okay. I knew I had to give up an inch on the bottom, right? There's the channel. Add an extra 1.5 inches. Add the inch. Where's an inch? What's an inch? There's an inch. And now look at that. That's in the center. That's where I figured out my center was going to be. Okay. It is annoying as fuck the first couple of times that you do this to figure out where something should be. It is like, oh my God, my brain is going to break. But then after that, it gets really easy. So whatever, if you happen, make sure that you've got at least 1.5 inches from whatever your bottom of your bag is going to be. Inch and a half, unless you're working with something really tiny like a mini bag. Take whatever you need. This is 3 inches, right? 1.5 inches plus 1.5 inches plus 1.5 inches. So 4.5 inches from this is a large bag. 4.5 inches from the top, 1.5 inches from the bottom. Then find your center. That's where your design that's where your design for the most part is going to go. Unless you're putting in something that's really narrow, but then your design just ends up dropping a little higher. And I don't know if you guys can see the creases, but those creases are where the bag shuts. The design doesn't get affected. So on this one, there's your center line. So you're going to go, here's my channel, bring it down one more time, take off pretty much an equal amount. Whatever the width of your channel is, let's break it down and make it simple. Okay. This is my channel. So you need to add that and that. That's the amount that you need. Then you need to find your center. This has already been folded, so that's fine. And bring it up the same as the width of this here. So this is, what did I make it? I just guessed. 1/2 inch. So then this comes up and 1/2 inch from the top. And that's where your center goes. So my center needs to actually be it's about right, because I lined it up with this. Generally speaking, it's not going to change. And generally speaking, you can go from here to here. But if you're working with something, what I said first, the first thing I said, let's go with the first thing I said. But if you're working with something that's complicated, or you already know up front exactly what you're working with, that's how you do it. But for the most part, this isn't that bad. So embroidering, when you're looking at something this small, embroidering is just needle and thread. You can do it. You can do it with just regular needle. I'm just going to see what I can end up with. So I'm just going to go around the outside. Do. Come on. I'm just going to go around the outside and see what I end up with, because God knows I'm not expecting miracles here. I've just got two. I've got two threads. I've just got the. I've got the thread. I folded it in half and then knotted it. So I'm putting in two widths at a time. But I mean, everybody's got their own skills when it comes to this sort of stuff, right? So we'll see what I end up with. I'm not trying too hard, so we got that going for me. But I just want to see what it ends up looking like. Math is easy. Math. There are things about math. Yeah, well, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be round-ish. It's going to be round-ish. I know you guys are way better at me than this, but I've literally got nothing better to do. I got nothing better to do than to wreck some shit with a sewing needle. Like I said, I'm thinking. And here's the thing. This is what I do is I'll do something small for fun, and then I will. This actually might be a little high, because I went back to the original one that I was doing. Yeah, my mom is an expert embroiderer. I might change. You know what I did? I made my mark here. I was going to redo the moon on this one. I'm doing it on this side. I just got distracted and lost track that I'd actually marked that up so that I could get the correct side. I suck at embroidery. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to pretend that I'm good at it. I'm going to try for good enough and see what I think of it. That's all. I don't very often, for very many reasons, have the patience for hand stitching. Not when I can do the exact same thing on my machine. Oh, that's what I'll do. We'll fuck around. Let's fuck around. Let's do some things today. There's a trick. If you has a darning foot and don't mind taking a little time, come on. Okay. I'm just proving to myself that what I said, well, you can do this by hand. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up with. Yep, fuck that one up. I'm probably going to give up. I don't care. Honestly, at the end of the day, when you have a great big giant long piece of thread like this, it can get tangled up so easily. So easily. But anyway, Mojo bags are not hard to make. They really aren't, with or without a machine. With or without a machine. I mean, I'm too lazy to do it normally. But you saw how quick that first one went together. Just boop, 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 done. And if you're working with intention and don't intend on using it, don't bother sealing that channel. You don't need to seal that channel. Not if you're just going to ditch it somewhere. Yeah, oh man, yeah, magic is awesome. Now ditch your shit somewhere. I am so disrespectful when I talk about stuff like this. It is bad. But anyway. So anybody seen the Netflix show, The 3-Body Problem? Lisa and I watched that. Lisa and I binged it a couple days ago. It was interesting. Kind of really interesting, because we were just talking about on one of our on the last Friday chat. And I was just saying, one of the things I've been saying in the last couple of chats is like my personal opinion is that ET is on the way, and the reason why the trickle true thing is starting is because they're not going to have a choice for much longer. Then a movie like that comes out, and it's like, wait a second. Yeah, hand stitching might be the way to go. I will tell you right now, just draw on it with a friction pen, with your friction pen and go. When you're working with a piece of fabric, okay, when you're doing proper embroidery on a large piece of fabric, that's going to be its own thing. That's going to be its own thing. It's going to be like if I were doing proper embroidery right now, it would be on a hoop. It would be getting done properly, and I'd probably already be done. I'm not that good, but when the fabric is being held properly, you're not going to have the same issues, and it's not going to be the same. You know, I have to stop. I have to put everything down. I have to do the thing. But just right when you're working, okay. Have you seen Ripley? I'm losing track. Ripley. No. No, that's all I can say. I got confused real quick. I probably actually I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't really watch a lot of TV anymore. We gave up cable a long time ago, so it's not on Netflix or what do we have? We have Netflix, Disney Plus, and Slice. People keep saying I should get Gaia TV, which I keep thinking about getting Gaia TV. I keep thinking about getting that, but the reality is that most of their content is already available in whole or in part on YouTube anyway. So every time I see something that's like, oh, only on the Gaia network, and I'm like, but I already saw it. I already saw most of it, or all of it, or some of it, or whatever. Anyway. See, like a regular hoop would not have these problems. I would not be hooking my thread in funny. But anyway, I'm almost done. I just need the circle, right? And I'll tell you right now, number one, I used to be pretty good at just basic sewing, getting really good lines and doing whatever, because I didn't have a sewing machine for the longest time. Now that I've got a sewing machine, this is not making me as happy as I thought it would, but that's okay. I knew it wouldn't. Yeah. Three Body Problem. For those who don't know, The Three Body Problem is a book written by a Chinese author. I can't for the life of me remember his name. They just made a Netflix series about it. The Three Body Problem is an astronomy problem about if a planet is in a system that has three stars, and the planet is orbiting in a situation that puts it between the three stars in any way, shape, or form, how do you determine its orbit? That's what the Three Body Problem itself is. So the premise of this show is, I'm not going to say too much, because the premise of the show is part of the mystery of the whole thing. Premise of the show is that back in the whatever 70s, that contact was made with a planet that is in a system that is affected. It is a planet with intelligent life that is in the Three Body Problem, that is orbiting in between three stars. The Three Body Problem is that the gravitational forces that come about because of a binary system is two stars. I forget what they call it. It's not trinary or anything like that. I forget what they call it when it's three stars. But anyway, so the Three Body Problem is, how do you predict the orbits of a planet that is being affected by the gravity of not one, not two, but three suns? And one of the premises in this is that the people that are on this planet they have been trying and failing to sort out the Three Body Problem, because no matter what you do to predict, it's too chaotic. So no matter what prediction models you use, eventually the prediction model it starts doing something else, stops working. It's too chaotic to predict for long or with a lot of accuracy. So this particular civilization is over and over again getting knocked back to the Stone Age, or whatever their version of the Stone Age is. And that is the premise for the entire show, which, like I said, I'm not going to tell you anything else. We just watched we just binged it over the weekend. I'm supposed to be telling you guys about the Kickstarter, though. Yeah, so Kickstarter, Lisa got to see, Lisa set up the don't forget about the Kickstarter thing, whatever that was. And she could see how many people had clicked to track it, watch it, keep an eye on it. And so, yeah, I think she had like over 1,000. I think there's over 1,000 people that had clicked that link to basically, like, let me know when this Kickstarter goes live, whatever that thing is, right? So yeah, once that hit 1,000, she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that energy just is still there today. Still there today. My God, Dawn is keeping her sane with Dawn is doing a great job of helping keep that poor girl sane with their video game that they're playing with Baldur's Gate. That's been helpful. I owe Dawn a huge thank you. But yeah, it's been a bit of a, if she's stressed about fulfillment, she is not stressed about fulfillment. She was super stressing about getting the cost down, because outside of the US, shipping is hideously, even in Canada, shipping is expensive. But she finally found a solution that she liked. Because you got to balance fulfillment. She's going to be working through a fulfillment center, which means that it's going to be handled professionally, which means that it's going to be a lot easier. I was willing to be the shipping department, but the problem that we face living in Canada is that for us to bring everything to Canada and then ship it out is like 2 to 3 times as expensive as finding a U.S. fulfillment center to do that for us. So I am just going to do that because I'm going to show you guys something. Okay, so the iron is on. Oh, am I going to do that? Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay. Just gonna sit there. So fulfillment, yeah, shipping in Canada is fucking crazy. It's like, I get it. We have 1/10 the population of the United States, but we're set up that we have 1/10 the population, but like 10 times. It's, we have entire areas, we have entire regions of our country with only a few thousand people in it. We don't have. Canada is like, I don't know how much bigger than the States we are. We are a very large country. Okay, I'm gonna do a thing. Ship here, fulfill, ship there, makes no sense. And also so many backers. Oh, it's been crazy, yeah. So she's got backers basically on every continent except Antarctica right now, which is like awesome. It's amazing. So she got ahead of the game because the deck is done. She's been showing you guys the deck for a while now. So she made it a point of not launching the Kickstarter until the deck was done because she decided to put all of her energy into, I don't know how to describe this. A lot of people do their Kickstarter when the deck is at about 80%. And I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. You guys are going to have to tell me. I'm not the tarot person. I mean, I like tarot, but I'm not the tarot person in our house. So she made sure the deck was done. The children's book is done. It just basically needs to be formatted and a couple of little touches added. So that's and she's hoping to have that. I don't know how to describe that. The children's book is done being written. Everything in the book is there. She already knows exactly what art she's using. It's just a matter of like, it's like you have a series of documents. Hi there, Cutchwitch. That's Stevie, right? Is that Stevie? Lisa is my only source of knowledge on Kickstarter. Same. Okay, so what I'm going to do If you have a slightly newer machine, you probably have one of these. So I'm going to do this. I'm just fucking around making a, the fuck am I making? What the fuck am I making? Stevie just got a new machine. Okay, so I'm popping that guy off. I can't set it over there. I'll vibrate off the thing. I'm making Mojo bag. I'm just making a Mojo bag. I already made a quick basic one, just to show. I forgot what it was called. You ever do that? Oh my god! I just made that right quick, just to show how it was done. And now we're just gonna go. Now we're just gonna up the ante a little bit. So I did a Mojo bag, and I did a little hand done moon, which I already fucked up. It's got a little snot there. I don't care. I already did that. Did a little hand drawn moon, and now we are going to. Oh, I don't want the black. I want the dark gray. I don't want the color of thread that I have on here. Thanks. These are super easy to make. And I'm just kind of going over the really obvious stuff here. Drinking way too much pop. I'm not hyper. So, because I don't do Mojo bags. I do not do Mojo bags except for, like, if Lisa wants one or whatever. I don't do them for the shop or anything like that. So, and I know a lot of people buy them. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy them. I'm just saying that if you're in a position to make your own, then that's something you should do, because it helps you work in tension. If you're going to work in tension magic, do the work. That's my opinion. It's my opinion because I'm an opinionated person, but I'm really not trying to gatekeep here, because not everybody can do this. Even people that, just because you can do this doesn't mean you have the time for it, that it's going to work. Okay. So I just used a friction erasable. Oh, there's my iron turning itself off. I'm going to blow my nose while I'm up. I'll be right back. I was so proud of myself today. I managed to make a handbag for my wee girl and had the fabric the right way around on both sides. First time I did it back was upside down. Well, you got it done, and that's all that matters. Congratulations. You gotta show a picture somewhere, but I might just make that sewing group you recommended. Just a Peggy Sews group, just to share thoughts, ideas, and project. Oh, that's why that's tangled. Okay. I'm saving that black thread over here for a reason. So anyway, if you have one of these feet, you can quilt. Now what I just did was I reached back here. These are the feed dogs. They've got to go down. And that's fine. So I just made, I found where I want my center to be. Is that? That technically needs to be fixed, but it doesn't change anything. Doesn't matter if it's ugly, Moira. You did it. It's work. It does. It meets its intent. Peggy in stitches. Ooh, I gotta start writing this shit down, guys. Ugh. Is that the one I want? That's the one I want. Is that a booklet? There's. Okay, this all started because I was sorting through my fabric, my swear fabric, my dirty fabric. I sorted through that to figure out what I'm going to make. I've got one pile for one quilt, possibly two quilts using the same basic pattern, another pile for another quilt using a different set of the fabric. I sorted all that out, and then what I'm looking for now what I'm doing is Yes, Peggy's dirty pillow. What was the other one? Peggy and Stitches. We had somebody else come up with one other thing too. That's something. You know what? I was just like I did a quick crow cam last night, and while I was setting it up, I noticed on my channel I used to do tutorials and walkthroughs and all that stuff, and I haven't done anything like that for like a long time. But I think that we had our own. I think if I made a little group, I wouldn't care how many people are actually in it. But then it's like, oh, this is a project that I'm working on. Should I do a zipper? Should I do zippers or buttons? Should I do this or this? I think it would be a really great place just to have low key, low stress, helping each other through little projects with ideas. Like I said, I'm thinking about what I want. I'm thinking about what kind of pattern I want for the quilt for this quilt. I am probably just going to default to squares. I'm probably just going to default to doing squares. But what I need to do is just be sure that that's what I want before I start cutting fabric. And I don't have to cut fabric today. Okay, so where did it go? I don't know if I ever showed you guys this properly. I'm sitting over here doing it. I'm not going to be able to show you properly. This is gray on. Okay, so you just get your darning foot on that you can't see because it's too much glare. Let's see if I can adjust this camera because this is really important. Not it's really important, but for the people that really, really want to see this, I'm not doing anybody any favors, even myself here. That's a little bit better. So I've switched over to my darning foot, which is super easy. How do you sew with fabric that's stretchy? I bought fabric with Shrek on it, but it's like a jersey material and it's hard to stitch with. For starters, you really should consider getting what's called a jersey needle. Yeah, like that. It'll just say jersey right on it. A jersey needle a jersey needle, or use a needle that you already know is dull. A sharp needle can end up cutting the fabric in a way. When you're working with a stretch fabric, there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. Mostly it's just about slowing down. When you're working with a stretch fabric, you definitely don't want to be sewing too horribly fast. I slow down a little bit as you go. So what? Oh, no, it's down. Yeah, didn't want to go at first. I will switch out. I don't use my jersey needles often, but I will switch out to a jersey needle if I'm working on a stretch fabric, just because it's so this is, I did a moon on this side. I just did the outline. I'm not going to fill it in. I'm lazy. We know this. I already talked about that. So I'm just showing you guys. So this is a darning foot. This is the foot that they tell you to use if you're quilting or if you're darning socks or this sort of thing. So I'm just going to go slow, take my time, go around the outer circle. Don't care if it's perfect. I really don't care because I can fix that later. I already know that that's squared off a little bit. And now I'm just going to do that. This is not as dark as I thought it was going to be against this fabric. So when you're darning, they want you to go back and forth, then crisscross, crisscross. Like you can literally just go. And you guys see that? I mean, you guys have seen a little bit of sewing, a little bit of quilting stuff from me already. So basically, I'm just gonna keep this really simple and do. I did an outer circle-ish. It's not a proper circle. There wasn't much for me to follow. And I'm just doing little loopy loops inside. Oh, and if you're working with jersey too, lots and lots of pins helps. That is one fabric that I will pin. Stretchy fabrics, I will always pin them just because they are more likely to shift. So you really, really want to make sure that you're not screwing around with that too much. And now I'm just like aiming for some shit. Okay, this is good enough. I'm gonna go hit this with the iron right quick. All right. So that's my first one because it's been way too long since I last sewed, and I can just keep going around and around and around and around and around and fill it up. Can you still put interfacing on it, or would that make its shape weird? You can still put interfacing on it. I have, and that's the moon that I just did, right? So now I've got 2 moons on this. You can still, you mean iron-on interfacing, or are you talking about sew-on interfacing or iron-on interfacing? Because I tend to use iron-on interfacing. I really can't tell you much about the sew-on. Nope. Darning is basically, darning is its own thing. Darning a sock, you get a thread like this out, and you just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You go back and forth, back and forth, you go back and forth, just crisscross, right? Perfect. Okay, I only have iron-on as well. So if you're going to iron-on interfacing to use with a jersey fabric, the trick that you have to be really, really careful of is to make sure that you do not stretch your fabric while you're ironing it. Most interfacing, do I have one? I have one. Okay, I'm going to finish this bag. A lot of interfacing, what they'll tell you, a lot of interfacing, you see people ironing on their interfacing, okay? Line up your fabric, lay your interfacing on top, up, count to 5, up, next spot, count to 5, up, next spot. Don't iron it on, okay? Lift, move, put back down, lift, move, put back down. That's the best way to put on interfacing in a way that's not going to overly wrinkle or whatever your fabric, because the temptation is, like I said, oh, now that I've got a couple of corners tacked down. So even if it says that you can, even if it says that you can, don't do this until the fabric is where you want it. And also keep in mind, I don't necessarily have a lot of time to do it right this second, but maybe that's something, if we keep track of this and I remember to do it later. Now, if it's depending on the type of adhesive, yeah, ironing and pressing aren't the same. You're pressing down, you press down. If you're pressing down, then you're less likely to have something catch. What am I doing? I don't need to take, I don't need to switch. I do not need to switch my, there we go. Okay. I don't know why I thought it wasn't lined up. Yeah, basically, if you're working with, yeah, up, down, works really well. It works really well, really easy. And also, if your interfacing isn't on the way that, I don't have anything that's sewn on just yet. If your interfacing isn't quite on the way that you want it on, you can like pick up a corner and then just get your finger between the fabric and the interfacing and take it back off. Reposition it, take it off, reposition it, and then do it again. So this is super easy, straight down. Like I said, you're starting just above where the stuff meets, just above, not too far. You still got to put your string in, right? Oh, I I have to put my feed. This machine will not let me make certain mistakes. So it wasn't letting me move forward because I didn't have the feed dogs back up yet. And now I'm just going straight down. Okay, so I just ironed that down. And like I said, these are now they won't fray. So that part's fine. I've just gone down the side because I have this fold here that it's a little wider than it needs to be, but that's fine. It's totally fine. Let's do the other side now. Straight down, go a little tiny bit above. Oh, here's something that just happened. Okay, so if you notice that, this side here is a little tiny bit, this side here. Oh yeah, sewing definitely teaches you patience. Absolutely. So because this is a drawstring bag, always be aware of what you're making, okay? This is a drawstring bag. Now, if I line up this, remember those two little seams that I made, one there and one there. If I line up the seams and go straight down, right? Then this doesn't quite line up. This size here is a little teeny tiny bit. This one here is a little teeny tiny bit bigger. Because it's a drawstring bag, and I know it's going to be done like this, it's literally going to have zero effect on the finished work. So if you do have a bag and it's a little tiny bit bigger, as long as it's not so big that it's going to be a problem, then you can just let one side be a tiny bit bigger than the other and it won't hurt anything. And again, I'm going to go down from the same spot. I'm going to go look for my foot. And then straight down. Okay, back up. Checking my machine because it just tried to suck in that corner. Okay, now I left, where did I put it? There it is. Okay. I'm going to show you guys this. I'm going to show you guys this. I think this is called a blanket stitch, but I would have to like literally look it up. So I've got my leftover thread, right? This matters because if you're doing this by hand, remember I said, okay. Remember I said, go over here, zigzag, put your zigzag stitch on. So for those of you that are sewing with a sewing machine, put your zigzag stitch on. And then go right, you don't have to go exactly over top that stitch line, but you just want it to catch just a little bit on the side of it. Okay, so now I've reinforced it all the way down so that if I'm putting so that either because I'm only using one layer of fabric here, right? So that you need to deal with the fraying. My bags don't have a fraying issue because I have the 2 layers and blah blah blah. I don't have exposed seams, but this does. If you're gonna have an exposed seam, sorry, I've got such a fucking mess built up over here. Okay, so I've gone down, I've sewn, I put a straight stitch in, then I went back over and zigzagged it. Unless you now if you have like a if you're using a serger or a different type of machine, it's a different thing. But I'm going to show you guys this. This is if you're going to do needle and thread, this stitch, you're going to go through here. I'm going to skip the really thick part because I'm using a needle and thread, and that's going to be already enough pressure, right? So I'm just I'm going to pull it completely through. There is a knot at the end of this, I promise. Okay, we're doing a blanket stitch. So you're going to go to here, find that opening between. There are two pieces of thread here. I mean, it's one piece of thread. It's one piece of thread that I have already got a problem with. It's one piece of thread, right? Fold it in half, all the way down, put your knot in the end. So you come all the way through, come to here, go through there, go through that hole, and then you got a loop. You got a loop that goes around. You got a loop that goes around, okay? I think we've all done this before. This has got a name, and you can pull this stuff. You can trim it or you can pull it down. Don't go crazy with the trimming. Well, you can go crazy with the trimming, but don't go crazy trying to get every little piece of frayed. Don't go crazy trying to get every little piece of fraying off, or you'll just peel it back to the thread. So this is super simple. Go through here. Okay. See the loop that we've now made? Bring your thread through. I'm making it really obvious, and put your needle through that thread. And now it holds right to the outside. Okay, so this is, so if you do not, if you are doing this by hand, instead of you can still do a zigzag, but if you really want to, you come through just underneath. There it is, just underneath this, just underneath the stitch line, underneath your stitches. Come all the way through, put it through that loop. And now it's really locking it down all the way down. That way it will not fray. This is how to prevent fraying. If you're hand sewing, you just go all the way down. It's actually not that difficult. You do not have to have your stitches super, super tight or close together. It's more helpful if you can add a few more stitches. But you just get through there. And after a couple minutes, you'll be like, oh, it needs to go through there. It doesn't take long. Shayla is behind me snoring. Can you guys hear her? So if you are doing one of these bags by hand, you'll want to, okay, like I said, if you're just, yeah, I think it's called a blanket stitch. This is how I prefer to, if I'm sewing by hand, this is one of my preferred ways to sew. I was using this stitch for years and years and years, not knowing what it's called. So if you are just doing a quick mojo bag because you're doing a bit of a, like I said, you're doing some spell work or some intention magic, you're going to seal this up, you're going to put it away, you're never going to touch it again. You don't need this last step. But if this is something that you plan on using and reusing, or want the ability to open it back up or whatever, this will make sure that it lasts longer. I'm not trimming out all the loose threads, but it will it prevents fraying because it locks down all this shit at the edge. Okay, that's the biggest thing. And I think anybody who's ever been doing their darning, yeah, that's why it's called a blanket stitch. This is a really great way. You find this stitch on a lot of blankets. Let me see. Most machines have a blanket stitch already on them. I'm just showing you guys how simple and quick this stitch is, because I know that there's people that come hang out who, for one reason or another, either don't have a machine, don't have access to a machine, or whatever. And it's like, I just kind of realized that, like, some of this stuff that I'm showing people is a lot easier to do. Not easier, but it's easy enough to do without a machine that I should probably start showing this stuff once in a while whenever it makes sense. And like I said, today's a good day for that. I am probably just going to do basic squares and make my quilt with basic squares, but I still have to make the decision, and I really would rather spend a few days thinking about it, or a few hours. I definitely want to think about it before I start cutting. Hey Gail, how you doing? You haven't missed much. I sorted out all my swearing fabric because I'm planning my quilt. I was just talking about that. I sorted out all my swearing fabric to figure out which ones I want to definitely pair up in the next quilt. And then I basically am doing a mojo bag. I'm just showing how to do a blanket stitch. And of course, once you start, you kind of can't keep going till it's done. I'm just showing how to do a blanket stitch by hand, because I know that for some people, when it comes to mojo bags, will only do them by hand as well. I've heard of that. I don't know. I can't think of anybody offhand that I can say for a fact does that, but just showing how to do a basic blanket stitch The other side I've already zigzagged. So then zigzag. But yeah, I'm just doing a couple, did a couple of quick mojo bags just because the topic came up. I wanted to show how easy they are. But yeah, I can't do a mojo bag for the shop. Well, I can do a mojo bag for the shop, but the problem is that I can't do them. I cannot do a bag this small with that many layers of I cannot do it this small and do a lined bag, just for the simple fact that the bag would be so stiff and awkward. You can, but I don't. I don't want to. I'm not going to. I thought that was caught. But anyway, I'm going to flip the, I am, it's time to put away the needle, and I will stop everything and do that first. There we go. If something about sewing makes you a tiny bit, I don't want to say paranoid. I don't think I'm paranoid. I don't think I'm generally a paranoid person. But if something makes you uncomfortable, don't ever worry. Oh, talk to you later, Blue. Talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, Gail had a question. What did I miss? Yes. Yes. This is exactly what we were talking about earlier today. I'm going to do the sweary quilt on camera. That I never finished that. Okay, so when you're doing, you will see some of the thread depending on how you're doing your blanket stitch, because you're flipping this. So you do want to make sure that your thread is Whoa, let's just throw shit on the ground. Like, okay, I've got this thread here, right? I've got this thread here. If I had done my blanket stitch in that thread, you would never see it. You would never see it. So if you're going to do it, a blanket stitch can leave that depending on how you're doing it. So do keep that in mind. Do keep that in mind when you're choosing your thread color. Okay, so let's get Gail up to speed. Okay, so I sorted out my fabrics because some of the fabrics are going to look better together than others. I've got a couple that are like really large designs. So with those that are the really large designs, like this one here. You do quilting, don't you, Gail? I don't think I have to explain the whole thing. But like this guy here is like, yeah, that's like 7 inches across. If I try to put something like this into the swearing quilt, I'm probably going to end up cutting out big pieces, and I don't want to make the I paired up all my fabric. That's the thing. I took all the stuff that I want to do certain projects with. I set it all aside. So I've got a pile that looks like this. All swearing all the time. And this is going to be the basis of which fabric looks like Monstero fabric. Oh, this? Yes, it was. Okay, anyway, so I've got it sorted out, the fabric that I'm going to use, which is absolutely fine. Now I'm deciding on what kind of pattern. Yeah, this is very similar to what it's from the same collection as the Monstero was. So there's that. So basically what's going on is it's pretty simple shit. And I'm sure you've been there before. Yeah, I have been found to be quilty. So I sorted out all the fabrics that I'm going to use. Now I have to make a few decisions. Do I want to go? Okay, this is done. This is done, by the way. I'm just putting the, by the way, you see over on that side, see the little bit of pinching that happened in the fabric there. That you can get around that by either ironing on a little bit of interfacing before you do it, or because you can just iron on a small piece, putting on a little bit of interfacing or slowing down. I was going fast because I just wanted to get it done because I know I'm just messing around for fun today. So basically I've got a bunch of fabrics to pick from over here. Now I'm like, do I make one? Do I put that square beside that square beside that square, or do I get a different, or do I get a base color and have that like every have a few in there, have a bunch in there? It's the same. It's the usual argument of thinking it through before I start cutting fabric, because you can't uncut your fabric. So behind me, Bruno is using it as a pillow right now. Behind me is an example of a quilt as you go quilt where I just took all the different stuff and lined it all up. The front and the back are all individual. If I just do regular squares like that, I can probably start on it like in the next few days. I'm gonna try and do most of it on camera, because I said I was gonna do. Oh, did I leave my channel too small? My channel is too small. I gotta get something else. Hi, Trisha. My channel is too small. I can't get my string in. I'll have to get a different thing. Let us get a different thing. So I'm just thinking. I'm thinking right now, and there it is. See that? This is a oh, thanks. This is a needle threader. I had a better one, but this will be fine. I think I've shown you guys these before, but anyway. Come on. There we go. So I am just going to. The first one I did, the cords were probably a little too. My God, this is just a thin little wire. Oh, okay. This is called a bodkin. This is called a bodkin, and what you do is, if you're trying to thread your string, basically you put your cord through this, okay? Push the little stopper down, and then you work it through the channel that you want to put it through and get it out the other side. Problem is, oh, now it's going to go, isn't it? Is it going to go now that I said it's not going to? It'll go. Problem is that the one channel isn't quite big enough for it to go through. Okay. Yeah, this channel is too. The channel, I ended up sewing the channel partially shut. Yeah, I have no idea what Hamlet's bodkin is, but this is called a bodkin. This little guy is called a bodkin, and it's, now this one here is flexible. Some are stiffer, okay? Some of these are stiffer, some of these are more flexible. And yeah, you put your thread, you put your stuff through this side. Now what's going on right now is my channel is too narrow. Either it's too narrow or I've accidentally sewn it shut, and I'm not sure which yet. So I am going to, this little dude is a needle threader. You literally pop it from the back, pop it from the front, put your thread, you just put it through your needle. You put that through the needle, put your thread through this opening, barely see it there. Put your thread through that, you put your thread through the bigger hole, then yeah. If you're gonna do a lot of threading, if you're gonna be threading a lot of needles anyway, if I do this, this is also one of the reasons why I'm not all about doing the tiny bags. There's also a way to do this where you just literally take your there's a way to do this where you just literally take your cord and hold it into place as you're sewing it on. Come on, you can do it. Go, go, go. Nah, it's not going through. Not going through. We're going to put that there. La, 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 la. I've got like 10 different things. I've always got 10 different things kicking around. Is that one going to work? That won't work. That might go through. Now I've just got to make sure. Yeah, that's open. I tried to just ended up sewing it onto the bag. Been there, done that. Been there, done that so many times. But yeah, just look up just any fabric shop. Okay, well, yeah, this guy here is so pokey. He goes right through the fabric. If I'm not careful, I'm like literally stabbing my fabric over and over again. I don't know what's going on here though. Did that go through my fabric? Of course it went through my fabric, but through it's not supposed to go. Sometimes getting this is a little bit too pointy. I can imagine sewing right through the cord. You can learn not to, but yeah, it's a process. Okay, where did I put the bodkin, or did I drop it? This is a problem with this shit. You just lose. There it is. You lose track of it so easy. Sometimes the channel itself is big enough. The challenge is to get it through the thing. Sometimes. Okay, now it's going. There we go. Now it went. So sometimes you just have to get something in there and stretch it a little bit. Yeah, the tweezer. Yeah. Though I had a pair of those. I just don't like them as much as I like this one. But then again, when I'm doing my bags, this is the most convenient one that I've found for what I'm doing. But yeah, so you just get that on there, tighten it. Come on, you can do it. Basically, I made the hole. That's not the problem with the hole. It's the problem with the bodkin that I'm trying to use is bigger than I need. And I think I may have a smaller one kicking around somewhere, but I just don't want to go get. There we go. We're going to get that one in. There we go. That's another reason why I don't like to do the small ones, because if there's a problem, it's usually a sizing issue, and it can just be a pain in the ass. Come on. One down. Now I got to do the other side. Okay, that side will go in just fine. Just getting it out the other end. There we go. I think I found the problem. I found the problem. Oh, I found one of the problems. I just stitched a little high on the one side. Since I'm just doing it for myself. See, if I was doing this with a shop, I would either have to throw it away or flip it all inside out and resew that piece. And it's not the end of my world. And these are easy enough to do. These really are. These are really easy to make. And don't forget now, for anybody who hasn't been around since I turned the camera on a couple hours ago, I didn't measure anything. So this is entirely like user error here. I didn't measure anything. I'm just fucking around. I'm just fucking around and hanging out while I decide what I want to do with my quilt. I'm thinking just to keep it with basic squares. I think that'll be just fine. I don't think I need to do anything super fancy. I really don't think I do, because I think the fabric itself is what's going to make it look super fancy. You can get the bodkins in different sizes. I know that. There we go. Got it. Now, hold that piece. I got to be careful on this because it was folded almost exactly in half, which I shouldn't have done, but that's okay. There we go. There we go. Now it's through. Now I'm going to put this guy away, because this guy is just a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of wire. If I don't put it away, I will lose it. It's a guarantee. There. I don't have use of them very often. Okay. So now, because I'm leaving the knotting on just one side, I can also, like, there's things that you can do. Like, I could knot it like right here. I'm going to try that. Actually, I'm not. Yes, I can. I'm going to do that. I am going to do that. Okay, I'm going to put my knot right here. to put my knot right there. I'm going to put one big knot because you can fuck around, right? Okay, I'm going to put my knot right there. I'm going to cut this right here. These are not my best scissors. I don't know. Oh, I got them up because I was cutting paper. Then I just kept using them. That goes there. I don't need to do anything special here. But you definitely don't want these fraying out of place. That's it. You just want enough heat to singe. You just want to singe the ends a little bit. So then I just pull it tight. Pull it tight. Around and around and around. There's a knot. I put that knot here, right? Because then once I get to the knot, this is a problem I had before. Once I get to the knot, I can just go. I can start changing directions and just really tie this stuff up. There we go. Fuck around with your mojo. Absolutely fuck around with your mojo. So if it's a bag that I'm keeping, I can just do a single. If it's a bag that I'm keeping, come on, let's just, yeah, I guess I am fucking around with my mojo. If it's a bag that I'm keeping, I can go like that. And then there's a couple of ways to just loop that through. And then that's done. Or you just keep going, keep going, finish it around, and then do whatever you're going to do it. Do whatever you're going to do with it. And don't forget, as long as you've done it yourself, if you need to, you could also just cut your cord off and then redo your cord. So anyway, I got two. One's a little plain with shorter cords, and one's got a couple of little embroiders on them. So they're done. They're pretty easy. I'm going to give these to Lisa because she needs stuff like this once in a while. Oh, pardon me. I don't know if I'm burping or hiccuping. I can't tell the difference. You ever do that? It's like fun. But anyway, I will check with the wife when she gets home, see what she thinks of the design. I'm gonna do. I had the was gonna. I was thinking I was probably gonna end up making a pillow today, but now it's way too late in the day. Way too late in the day. But I want to do this. I want to do this again. The hip burps. Yeah, that's weird. I want to do this again for you guys because this is a nice little lumbar pillow. It goes right into the small. It's actually sized perfectly for lumbar. It's memory foam so that it always is going to go back up to its normal size. And this is great project for a very, very small amount. All this is a 11 by 16 piece of fabric. I made this from an 11 by 16 piece of fabric. Or maybe 17. It was probably 17. It was probably 17 because you have to take seam allowances into consideration. But this is an 11 by 17. Yeah, 11 by 17 inch piece of fabric makes a lumbar pillow. And there's a couple of really cool things that you can do to make them like nice and believe it or not, this, as long as you have, the Peggy's Dirty Pillows, because I know I'm making at least a couple of pillows out of this fabric, and I've already picked out the fabric that I'm going to do other projects with. One says wine slut, and the other one says abracadabra, you're still a bitch. I just like this one, so it's got the broom on it. I really do. Let me see. Oh, this is one directional fabric. So yeah, abracadabra. Nope, you're still a bitch. So I'm definitely making at least one pillow out of that one, and at least one pillow out of the other one. Just because, my wife needs me to call her names. We're horrible for that. No, never when we're mad though. That's the rule, right? As long as it's fun and funny, then it's fine. And if it stops being fun and stops being funny, then it just stops. So that's its own thing. But anyway, yeah, I've got some regular work to do, but not a lot. Not a lot this week. But But yeah, so this is just bits and pieces of cord that you happen to have. This kind of stuff is perfect for a project like this. Oh yes, making pillows with boob fabric. Yeah, I've got 2 different boob fabrics, and 1 kinky fabric. Did you guys have to have seen the kinky fabric? Did you guys see the kinky fabric? I don't know, with all of the shit that her and Dawn are getting up to, I think this on one side and this on the other might just be the perfect one for my wife to play her. What is inside? Yeah, this is what's inside the paracord. This is what's inside paracord. So if you're already if you're already making bags for yourself and using paracord, just take some of this stuff up. I love the kinky fabric. That's going to be fun. That is going to be fun. Those are going to be for the wife. See, if I make her mojo bags, then if she is offended, she has to be okay with it if I do this stuff. But yeah, what time is it now? 4:36. Oh, I don't have time either. I might be back later on this week. I haven't decided yet. I might be back. I pulled out my cat, steal it. Yeah. But I might be back later on this week. The weather's finally nice. I had a really bad run with my leg the last few days, so I'm like finally feeling. I don't want to call it feeling better. I don't know what to call it. My leg hates me once in a while. I don't make a secret about that, and all that rainy. We do this thing here. What's the paranormal? Oh, we never picked one yet, did we? We never picked. You know what? We've been doing UFOs and aliens, which I can talk about that forever. But do we want to go into something? Do we want to go left field into something else like paranormal? I know we've talked about ghosts generally. Do we want to find a cool ghost story to explore? I don't know. I have to go figure one out. It's only Monday, lots of time. But I don't know. Does anybody have it? We had a few ideas on the last chat. Of course, I can't go look it up, or I'm going to screw up, or I'm going to crash this chat. Independence Day 2. Oh my God, I watched that one. It's like, oh, ASCII. Yeah. Nazca lines, sacred geometry. Yeah, let's do that. Nazca lines and sacred geometry. That might be fun. Oh, that will be fun. It's always fun. Nazca. Haunting Nazca. Yeah, Independence Day. Independence Day, the first movie was fun. Independence Day, the second movie was just weird. It was like, oh, something that's big enough to fuck up our gravity, and the planet's going to survive that shit. It's like, no, that's not happening. There we go. Woo! Oh, I can turn that one off, can't I? Is that the one I want off? That's the one I want off. I got to get going in a minute anyway, so I got to start shutting things down and putting things away and doing whatever. About which we just no. I mean, nobody has to. Nobody. This is the whole fun about the way that we're doing the Friday chats is because learning together. You shouldn't have to study to be able to come and join a live stream, right? Yeah, why are we living on the moon? I was just busy drooling over Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, that was kind of it. The second one was like, oh, okay. Like, it makes for a really, really cool movie, but the physics does not support I have this really weird thing. I'm a science fiction geek, and that's totally fun. I love my science fiction movies. But yeah, like Gail said, it's fun doing the research together. I think that's what makes the chats fun, that nobody's walking in with preconceived ideas. And then we can do whatever, I love hearing different opinions, different thoughts. Oh, hey, guess what? Look at this. Remember these? Remember the tape? Yeah, I got my new glasses. I got my new glasses. We went out later on the same day. Was it the same day or the next day? Next day. We went out later on the next day. Yeah, I had to tape up my glasses because of bad timing, not because of other issues. So it was like bad timing. It's like, damn. I need glasses I can see out of. Yeah, the busted specs. But yeah, I got my new glasses like the very next day and picked up a 3-pack of cheapies, so I'm good to go. Yeah, the effects were cool enough, but I agree the physics makes my head hurt. Here's my problem is like I don't know anything about physics. I know a little bit because it's fun to know a little bit. Trivia, right? That's fine. But if even I can see the spot, if the plot hole of the science is glaringly obvious even to me, it's harder for me to enjoy something. Like it just works. That's just me. That's just how I think. But that's okay. It was still Independence Day was still a good movie, and there was plot holes in the science for that one too. So it's fine. You have to accept that you're not gonna agree with what they're doing, but yeah, I don't know. I think somebody suggested Nazca lines. I absolutely love talking about theories and ideas. We should have a sci-fi chat sometime. Well, okay, let's just do that Friday. Gravitational pull strong enough to lift buildings, but cars stay on the road. Yeah, exactly. And people were going like, the water was going upwards, but the boat stayed on the surface. Yeah, it's like science fiction. You know what it is? I would love to have a chat about science fiction, and maybe that's something to do that because one of the things that I sort of kind of believe in. I don't know what I believe because nobody's ever come and told us exactly what's right or wrong. It's kind of like the whole believing in a deity. It's like, I believe there's something there, but I have no idea what that could be because nobody's ever come back and told us what it is, right? I would love to talk about science fiction and science fiction theories and ideas and stuff like that because I do believe that a lot of writers tap into a universal conscience when they're writing and just don't know it. So they write it because I think it's very, very, very incredibly, insanely strange the number of things that we talk about in science fiction. And don't forget, in science fiction, we've got spaceships that are big enough to affect gravity, but they're actually landing on the Earth and we're fighting and winning and all this weird stuff, right? It's like, but let's face it, the concept of a spaceship that's big enough to affect gravity has been theorized in some ways. I'm going in my own little tangent and only saying part of what I'm thinking. But I think it's interesting that some of the stuff that gets talked about, and then suddenly we talk about these theories. Yeah, old James Bond movies and the tech that exists now. It's like, how could they even imagine this? Don't forget, the people that are writing these books, they're just writers. They're just writers. I don't care. Okay, we talk about Area 51. Oh, in Area 51, they're reverse engineering UFOs. Let's take that as a given. In Area 51, they're reverse engineering UFOs. I'm writing a book about UFOs. I have no idea what's actually going on over there, right? I have no idea what they're actually reverse engineering, what they're discovering, and what they're doing. And yet so many writers, so regardless of whether or not something is actually happening, yeah, like the things that Star Trek sort of predicts. Yeah. Like they're talking about warp drive, right? Warping time and space, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, and now we're talking about actually doing it. Now I get it. We don't have the lithium crystals. We're not going all full Star Trek, but like basically the communicators were basically a smartphone, right? Like, oh, computer, like, oh, say there's two particular names. Yeah, Google and Alexa, right? It's like this is coming from when was Star Trek? Star Trek was like late 60s, early 70s. No, I'm sorry, but when you're living in a society where the microwave is not really is new, where reel to reel is the high reel to reel, the actual tape is visible, it's going reel to reel, is the highest tech recording device that you've got. That's a huge leap to imagine this. And flying car in the news this week. Oh, Did somebody develop one, or is it just talking about it? Yeah, people are talking. We've been talking about flying cars since the 50s, Jetsons type cars and stuff like that, right? But we also been talking about science fiction. iRobot. I believe Isaac Asimov. When did Isaac Asimov write iRobot? This is just a one was iRobot. iRobot was a book that I really 1950. Okay. iRobot. They made a movie with Will Smith. I think it was Will Smith. They made a movie. It's been developed. Just want to know where our hoverboard from Back to the Future are. Yeah, well, they're working on that too. They're working on hoverboards too. So iRobot was written back in December 2nd, 1950 was when iRobot was released. In iRobot, you have AI, you have self-driving vehicles, you have this idea that if you could get that you have people living on other planets that are living extended lifespans because they're not subjected to the diseases that we have here, because they're like, you go through this. If you want to immigrate to these planets, you have to go through this massive quarantine process, and then you're allowed off. So now you've got this society. So you've got like video phones. If you ever read the book iRobot, you would think that it was written. You would think, I don't know how to describe this, because the way that they wrote in the 50s is not the way that we enjoy reading now, right? So you go, oh my God, this book's a little tedious. It's a little this, it's a little that. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just a different speaking style, just like Shakespeare, right? If you're reading Shakespeare's difficult to go through because things were different back then. Same. If you work your way through the book iRobot and just take note of all of the things that were discussed, that were mentioned in iRobot, and it's like, well, wait a second, most of those things, how would I get it? Some big brain science geek working from a U.S. or whatever country's a military research lab is going to, their job is to think about things. How does a writer come up with that much stuff? Hi, Witchy Wallflower. But how does a writer come up with that much stuff, and it's all spot on to stuff that we either have now or we're developing now? Like you get in your car and tell it where you want to go. We have that technology now. I never imagined that when I was 20. I never imagined that. I never imagined that. Yeah, courts are holding hearings remotely by Zoom nowadays. They talk about stuff like that in iRobot. Oh, well, you need a meeting with the boss, you press a button, there he is, you talk to the boss. And now I get it that some of these, an idea comes into science fiction and then other science fiction writers expand on it, which I totally get. But the thing is that we're expanding on thoughts and ideas. We're expanding on thoughts and ideas that are like 100 years old now. Where did those ideas come from? Because don't forget, I could look this up. I forget when it happened. It was like late 1800s or early 1900s. The guy, like I said, I would have to look it up to get the details. The guy that was in charge of the U.S. Patent Office basically said, "Oh, we're almost done because there's nothing left to be invented." So while society is generally thinking about, society is generally thinking, oh, this is as good as it's going to get. We've invented everything that there is. Jules Verne is writing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's like, Tesla basically built entire machines just in his mind. He would build an entire machine. Oh, there's a mistake. Okay, fix it. Okay, do this. Okay, fix it. He would build the entire machine in his head. This is what he said anyway. And then just go ahead and built it. Well, Tesla was around when was he around? And he's fiddling with technology that after Tesla's death, all of his notes and research were seized. Oh, Charles Duell. Did you look it up? Did you look it up, Stevie? But yeah, so it's like the average person, and I get it, writers are more curious and more this or that, but what the fuck are they tapping into to come up with such fantastic storylines? And why are the storylines staying the same? Why it's a science fiction trope. Humans have developed high tech. Aliens show up and cause problems. We fight back. We win. We learn a bunch of stuff in the process. Now I get it. I totally get it. But here's the thing. It's like it's all the same thing. I do not know how to describe this. Like one person will inform. Yeah, Tesla was in the 1800s. So after Tesla's death, most of his research disappeared, was seized, whatever. You know, the government, I mean, I don't know if it was official. I don't know if they officially. Remaining papers. Tesla's notes were confiscated, but never by the FBI. I'm not going into a whole lot of missing files. In 1952, after a U.S. court declared somebody the rightful heir to his uncle's estate, Tesla's files and other materials were sent to Belgrade. Let's see. Yeah, so his files were seized. You cannot tell me that somebody, the government on some level, seized his notes and copied them, regardless of what they gave back to the family. His research was seized, and it's only 100 years later that we're actually starting. Yeah, why has that particular sci-fi is where the future mythology will come from. It's tapping into the collective unconscious, and I absolutely think that it is. I absolutely think that it is, and I think that it's like it's really interesting to go. Okay, well, what is static? What stays the same? What stuff is staying the same, and we're just adding small details? Warp drive. Warp drive is a good example. We're just adding small details. Scientists are now coming back and saying, "Oh yeah, like I mean." Here's a technology that we want. Once we can develop this technology, we will have a functional warp drive. And it's like, oh, scientists have. So basically, something that was science fiction in the 40s and 50s became Star Trek, became explored in various other environments. As they might have changed the name, but it was still the same idea. The same type of technology has. That changing the name is one thing, but they've had the same type of technology has existed in science fiction forever. And now scientists are going, yeah, we can do that. We just science knew that they could invent the microchip before they actually invented the microchip. There's a bunch of stuff, and I would have to go digging now, but there's a bunch of stuff. Yeah, we know that we know that we can do this. We just haven't invented the technology yet. And it's like, where's the collective unconscious? How do they know this? How do they know? How do they know? I think it's a combination. I think, like, you know, you can't know something. You can't know something unless you already have a sample that you're working backwards from, or you're tapping into something that somebody else knows, and that would be a collective conscious. Collective conscious or unconscious? What is the actual term supposed to be? The collective unconscious? Collective memory, anyway. Whatever. Oh, wait, I think we already had the conversation. But yeah. Why has that particular idea been the one that persists? Why does everyone imagine the aliens to all look sort of the same? It's like, and that's really interesting. We have a few key ideas. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum, a character, says scientists were so interested in if they could do something that they never stopped to think of if they should. Cool. My great-grandfather was a scientist and designed and developed the catalytic, isn't it? Anyway, the converter. Yeah. But it's like certain things become obvious. Okay, like so, but why are scientists focusing on turning science fiction into reality? Science fiction is fiction. So fiction is fiction, and yet we're calling it a warp engine. We're talking about a space fleet. We're talking about talking about meeting ET and forming alliances. How do we know that that's what they're interested in? Why are we making, yeah, where is all this? I think there's a combination thing happening, but still. Anyway, I should probably get going. Yeah, it scares me that one day they're going to do something like they've seen in Doctor Who and we are going to end up destroying ourselves. Honestly, unless ET comes down and gives us a collective fucking shake, we've got way too much shit going on that we're just not dealing with. For good or for bad, we're not dealing with it. And it's like right now we've moved into this thing where every problem can be solved with the correctly applied amount of violence. It's like that's just getting crazy. It's like pardon me. But it's like the one thing that I believe, and I don't know that there's a huge conspiracy around it or anything like that, but I believe that humanity reaching out to the stars, reaching out to another civilization, I think it's going to end in utter and complete disaster for us, even if ET means well, because we are so violent, not violent. We are so busy playing politics and all this other shit. If we do not come together as a unified whole, if we do not come together as a unified global society, then we're never getting off of this rock. And whether or not, and don't forget, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around whether or not ET is even going to let us. No, our global leaders do not mean well at all. Our prime minister is under a criminal fucking investigation over billions of dollars going missing. He has been sanctioned under, we have what's called ethics commission, isn't it? Ethics. Yeah, we are so determined to take rather than give, so we'd only be interested in what we could gain. You talk to politics, oh, we're going to meet ET and they're going to help us with this, and this. Is like, what are we offering them in return? What can we give them that they don't already have? Did you think about that? There's only a very few things. There's only a very, very, very few things that we could offer an alien species based on what we assume. Oh, our resources are this, are that. It's like, if they are so far advanced from us that they're going to bring us all this stuff, they could have just come and taken it. What can we offer them what can we offer them? Wow, as of today, Scotland is currently leaderless. He was basically sacked. Well, I'll tell you right now, Canada is going conservative. Our Trudeau is so fucking problematic. Our ethics commission, so somebody in leadership does something wrong. Ethics commission gets a hold of it and goes, conflicts of interest, all this shit, right? And I'm just simplifying because I know not everybody's Canadian and not everybody cares about what's going on in Canada. Our current prime minister has been found guilty. Let me just look. And don't forget, he's been convicted of these. Found guilty, right? Convicted. How many? Sorry, if you don't, yeah. Oh, if I could spell ethics, that would help. Yeah. Yeah, Trudeau violated the rules in handling of the SNC Lavalin corruption inquiry. This is a major. This is basically kickbacks and bribes from a major construction company from the government. The We Foundation was a. Oh, okay. Let's not say convicted of. Let's say has been investigated. Is it going to give me an actual number? Come on, come on, come on. One, two, three, four.
Hello, Internet.
Lisa says hi.
Hi.
4 separate. Yeah, it's not a criminal procedure, and there's no criminal proceedings yet, but 4 separate ethics violations.
What are you guys talking about?
Oh, just saying that our leadership is, globally leadership is a problem. But yeah, like our prime minister is such an idiot. Like it's kind of hard to describe though, because we have like 12 or 13 different political parties here. So it's a much more it's not as simple as a conversation that it is elsewhere. But yeah, Trudeau, okay, it's one of those situations. It's like, I don't know. Trudeau has done so many things that he shouldn't have been doing and got caught doing them, and then just like, well, I did this for a reason, so it's okay. But yeah, now there's two different inquiries that have proceeded to criminal investigations relating to actions that he's taken while in office. And we're talking like there was an app that the Canadian government ordered this app to be developed. They just gave $100 million to 2 guys. Oh, go develop this app. They never did. They just took the money. These guys just took the money and it was a buddy system. And that's what it's being investigated as. But anyway, I can bitch about politics forever. I really can, because I think on a political level, I think that government has gotten so corrupt on so many levels, and it seems like politicians jump into challenge mode. What can I get away with? But it's become take the money and run. Yeah, TMR. That's kind of that's the basics of it. Basically, it was this app that they were supposed to develop. The government said they were going to develop an app so that people crossing back and forth across the border could do their proof of vaccination or something. And basically, the project was only supposed to cost, like, I forget the details, because I didn't look too deeply into the details, because until recently when it came out that there was a criminal investigation happening around it, there wasn't really a lot of information about it. But yeah, there was supposed to be this app that was developed, and it never got developed, or it didn't get developed properly, and it never worked, or something. And it turns out that the people that were awarded the contract should have never gotten the contract. Do you guys get the same political adverts that we did? If you don't do politics, there's not much you do, and it was aimed to get more folks to vote. We don't really see a lot of that. Happening. But our media does a much better job of reporting on both sides of the news. Both. I mean, yeah, I never follow. I should, but they are all gross people, lying, cheats, and they have a bunch of money. It drives me nuts. No, I think, you know what? I don't think. This is the levels of corruption that we're seeing in government as just this is what we do now, has reached such proportions that, yeah, I don't know, going out and voting isn't going to do much when your only choice is this problem or that problem. Like right now, right this minute, I don't know when our next election is up here in Canada, but right now, right this minute is pretty. If we had an election right now, the Conservative Party in Canada would pretty much win in a landslide. And so many people that have been lifelong Liberals are so disgusted by Trudeau that they're like, oh, I'm not voting for Trudeau this time. We want them out. We want this. We want that. Yeah, and we aren't even surprised anymore. Yeah, we aren't even really surprised anymore when it all comes out that they're dodgy. Exactly. Exactly. It's getting crazy. Corruption in government is so pervasive that we expect it, and when it's not happening, we're like, well, what are you hiding? That's the biggest problem. The biggest problem that I'm seeing is that, okay, everything that you do, you play politics. Okay. And I don't know how to describe this. Like, if I wanted to attract a certain audience to the channel, I swear all the fucking time, right? If I wanted to make the channel more friendly to moms that have and their kids might be home, I can't swear. That's playing politics, right? It's not good. It's not bad. It's just the way it is sometimes. This makes sense. There's a whole lot of logic to this. There's a reason why you play politics. It just makes sense. You don't walk into grandma's house. If you call all your friends bitches, you don't walk into grandma's going, "Hey, bitch, how you doing?" You don't talk like that. You don't do that. So we all do it to a certain degree, but it's become this thing that we expect the corruption. So people that get into politics expect to engage with corruption. Pardon me. So eventually, I read an article that was something like this. Yeah, worse is we don't see or know who is really calling the shots, not the politicians who are just puppets. I'll tell you right now, I read an article the one time, and I forget where I was reading this. Pardon me, I just chugged a bunch of pop. You guys watch me do it. I was reading an article, and the comment that was made in the article doesn't have to be true, but the observation was true. And it's like this person was saying, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what the CIA and the FBI and whatever, the Pentagon, do you know what they call the acting president and his current cabinet? Temps. Because the position, the people-facing position of, and this is true of almost any country, the person who stands in front of the people and says they're the leader isn't actually the one that's in charge of anything. What I think is really interesting is that why is it that so little is being done about this shit? So very, very little is being done to do anything about corruption in politics and stuff like that. And it's like, well, wait a second. So either politics is that corrupt, or there's so much going on behind the scenes that this bullshit is a good smokescreen for it. It's like, and it's probably a combination of the two. The UK are currently conservative, but there's no chance of them getting in again in January 25th. Scotland has been, I don't know what SNP is. SNP for 17 years, but since we lost our leader today, I can see us going Labour. Yeah, we're the basically countrywide, we are so sick of Trudeau that he's not getting back in. And like BC has been like very, very, very blue for a long time, between Liberals and NDP here. And he's not even going to make any headway here. Scottish National Party. Okay. So, but yeah, it's like, there's so much shit did you guys ever watch the show Scandal? It was about a woman who was a fixer for, it's not being made anymore. And the whole premise of the show was all about the shadow government who's really running the country, and how the shit and shenanigans that go on publicly. Yeah, it was really interesting, because it's like there was a touch of believability about it. It's like, if this kind of, it wouldn't, you're watching this thing going, wow, this is fiction, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's true. It's like, and that's the scary part, is like when you watch shows like that about how, like drama TV, basically it was about a woman. She was a fixer. So somebody, yeah, left, right, liberal, conservative, makes no difference who we vote for. Trudeau proudly announced when elected that Canada would be the first post-nation state. Our leaders are not our true leaders. He also announced what did he say? He was on camera saying it. He literally said democracy has no place when it comes to fighting climate change. Democracy has no place. And that's what he said while he was announcing a new tax to fight climate change. It's like, we basically saying like, we have no use for the people as long as they do what they're told. But yeah, it was fucking crazy shit. Crazy shit. Are you packing already?
Yep.
I love you. Am I in trouble?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be helping pack orders from the stuff that I made to get that out there. I better go. Yeah, nice slap in the face. Yeah, our leader telling us that our society has no place for democracy. A democratically elected liberal. Now, keep in mind, the Liberal Party in Canada is all about democracy, the rights of the people, social freedoms, social liberties, civil liberties, right? This is what the Liberal Party in Canada supports. And the leader of the Liberal Party literally stated as part of it was as part of a bigger speech, but it was not taken out of context. It was not taken out of context. Democracy has no place in fighting climate change or whatever the frick the thing was. It was like, you're going to act against the interests of democracy because you've decided what's right and nobody else gets a say. That is our liberal far left leader. That was what, like, he describes himself as a feminist. That's why Canada is so loved. Okay, our leader describes himself as a feminist, and people are taking money on whether or not he's going to be coming out as gay now that him and his wife have split up. Like super left leaning, saying that, and that's fucking scary. That is some scary ass shit. And it's not like everybody should be conservative. My God, I am 1000% all about personal liberties and freedoms. But I'm also not about somebody who was elected to support those ideals telling me that I don't have a right to democracy. That's crazy shit. But yeah, that's why he's not getting reelected. And that's why Canada's going conservative, which is really fucking unfortunate, because if that idiot hadn't been allowed to, he's a drama teacher. He's got, he's a drama teacher whose daddy used to be a politician. If they'd have kept this idiot out of office, we'd have a very different country today. But anyway, now I'm babbling about Canada's problems. Yeah. Now I'm babbling all about Canada's problems. But the thing is, we're seeing the same levels of corruption and incompetence pretty much globally right now. And it's fucking weird. It's very, very weird. Yeah. Liberal or conservative, it makes no difference right now. Oh, I missed Moira's comment. The Illuminati. I don't know if we want to do the Illuminati. I don't mind talking about politics, but I know that it's very, very, very easy to say the wrong thing and really get yourself in trouble. And I don't want to get canceled. Because let's face it, you let a person talk long enough, they're eventually going to say something that offends you. So I don't know. But yeah, we could talk. Maybe we should talk about the Illuminati. Who's really running the world? Maybe that should be Friday's topic. We'll figure it out. Comment below if you have a chance. Don't let me forget don't let me forget again the topics that we've already discussed. But I'm going to get going and go help my wife while she's still willing to let me survive the rest of the day. And I will talk to you guys later. And I don't know if I'm coming back on again before Friday, but in the meantime, I will see you Friday for sure. So you guys have a great week. Bye.